Okay, so I'm live early, just so everybody knows,
Oh,
because otherwise I can't get on.
Oh, you can't get on?
I am on,
Oh,
but
you
if
are
I
on.
wait, then I can't, so.
Sometimes it's the most interesting before the meeting starts, you know. When everyone...
I know, but I like to tell everybody because that way
Right.
conversations are.
I'm competition of the answer to this, but I know you'll know.
Oh, I don't know.
Don't you think?
They're on my phone. Do you need to print? You want me to print one?
I can print one. I should probably learn about. But yeah, if you would like.
Oh,
And
I just wanted to ask you, and I don't know.
my own way was real.
No.
Oh, George asked the other day. No, quite a bit. I'm sure this came in the early information packet, and when you're signing all those forms,
There's quite a few.
Yeah, we're
board
not
members
on the
ask
road.
for it.
So, weird thing about.
You are not the only one.
Those properties, they're both tied together.
Oh, where the
So
safety
that
is.
first one box is still live.
The
The one that's-
closest to the
The
road.
one that's sticking up out of the,
That's close to their house.
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
that one still is live.
okay.
And so is.
So we're live already?
Which is,
Does
I
that
think,
mean
on
to log?
Correct.
Form?
So, but when we did Clover Street, we put in two curb boxes on by the road. One that is hooked to both of those houses, and then one for the future, so that the other house could someday tag down and hook on their own.
So my question was, and I don't know if it's done, the one that's close to the house.
Just so he doesn't take the time.
Oh, really?
Oh, does it work yet?
About 3 O's.
Oh, that's why I thought.
Apparently, I didn't.
I tried to make it, we tried to make it
Apparently, we
right,
wanted to name it.
but we tried to add curb boxes, but they were both on one line.
So he put an end to that, I guess.
Fair. If they have a problem that they need to curb out,
That's
they
true.
need to
Yeah.
if that curb box,
That's very
is, they'll just shut off their house
Okay.
without opening. Because that'll depend too,
Well,
how that line is really run. If that is on T after. And then we'll still go to the other house, or if we shut off that house, it don't matter. It's just off the other house.
I don't, yeah.
Well, you know, because.
I guess they're asking only because they play in the front yard and kids trip on it sometimes, so.
But if
Yeah, it's a part of
it doesn't have an extension rod on it, inside the two, if it doesn't have an extension rod on it, or it's down low enough, then it could be better.
So I can just take a cap and look to see where that extension rod is. If it's down far,
Someone you
I
guys
can
were.
cut it, lower it.
Yep.
If it comes all the way up, leave it alone.
Yeah, you can't add them unless you get that extension rod on there.
Okay. All right, well, I'll look at it, but before I ever do anything, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, okay.
You know, God forbid, I did that in my house one time. I just moved up there and my house has been altered numerous times. I just have the pipe shoved in the wall and stopped. And I'm like,
Okay, well, I'm sure that that's.
Where is it? Stick it right in, cut it off. It was
Right.
still hooked up to something. An area to come running up there, shut the water off. Thank goodness I knew nobody at that time.
Just so you know, so you pull it up while we're talking and you know, it's on the 16th.
Hello.
Hi, George, how are you?
All right, how are you doing, Mary?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I think I asked you that. I've asked you twice now, so I'm just double checking. You know, my mother always
There
described your
doesn't
truck
need
as
to
a
be a
little
number.
blue truck.
Little blue truck?
Little blue truck.
I don't know if it's ever been called that.
One of the
technical-
Blue.
Probably not the right answer.
Yeah, it definitely sticks out. They know when I'm coming.
Hi, Mary.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, George.
Turning my phone
How are you,
on.
Lowell?
Susan.
We're live already on the hour.
I found them all.
Yeah, just so
Are we
everybody knows
okay?
we're live so that I could get on and make sure.
And you got everybody not
Hi,
disturbed.
Jennifer.
Doing good, how you doing?
I did that 17.
I got about 10 minutes. How about it, Brad?
Where is all that?
Oh, yeah?
That much?
The kids
it for 17 and you've got nothing.
Yeah, my son loves
I've been
that.
telling you.
Yeah, he's just started skating this year.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, this is the
I don't
time,
know.
this is the time of year you think about going to say, excuse me, but
Yeah.
I know.
It's nothing different than what we talked about. So just having that special meeting. Yeah.
hey, Steve.
How'd the shopping trip go?
It was fun.
Everybody made it home?
Like I said, my daughter wanted sushi, and that's where we got to get her sushi, so.
I just like it because everything is good, and I told all there's nothing that's.
No, they were.
Yeah, when I do find myself buying the produce at Walmart, I have to like really inspect it. Cause I've gotten like a bag of potatoes, and when I get home, like, oh man, I should have looked at this, or oranges even, so, yeah. Yeah, and it's the closest to us, so.
Plus, it's right next door, my mom is right across the street and over here, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, you could bring her stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, how you doing?
All right, Adam, how about you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
The police officer, 24 hours.
Oh, we are? Oh, there we are, the owl.
Are we already live?
The owl is good. How do you tell? Oh.
The last couple of times it was, she was having trouble logging on, so she said she'd get in early and get it going.
So, have a valve on it.
That way they don't have to clean it. And use a little galvanized fitting
Oh,
with the valve on it.
rather than have a pipe off it, or something.
It's just gonna take us one time to get the air on.
Okay, that's what I do. Do you think it's just like Carol?
So I think that's- Good job.
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm sure you'll let them off the side by that.
Well, that worked.
Did it already crash?
No, it
Oh,
worked, we're in, so.
Yeah, I'm used to bad news, so you tell me.
No, they're gonna come out and do a pump test beforehand. Determine right then and there whether the valve needs to be. If there has to be some replacement, expect a newborn. It's not even made. Oh, yeah.
You're right, you're right.
That is true, because it's just like they might, yes. Well, and then for some reason after that, I don't know if I just need to do my way, and I do something. Then I have to do something. Yes, and it-
You should be able to. Shut off the off. If you can get 500 out of those.
Good evening, sir.
Each one of them. You just need to dial in your.
Hey, Rob.
The camera's on already.
You'll be able to see it on the photo.
Yes.
Pretty good, huh? Came back last night. Where were you going to? Hilton. Oh, so bad.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice place. Yeah. Haven't been there quite a while. Since I moved to Wisconsin.
I'm glad to reach out because I think there's.
I think we'll see you.
Good.
Hi, Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Pat just told me. He goes to.
I just got the last document.
But they were advised not to. They're going in different routes, private, so they have to do that. But they're out there. I thought you meant I told him, I said, one for the book. I said, you just, say, you know, take your time across, leave it be.
Yeah, it does, but the one motion.
Only Josh,
I figured out. Yeah, but you do most of the work getting stuff. I do most of the work.
It's 15 years. Susan.
Yeah, I had our taxes done by somebody else at one time. I spent hours getting all this stuff together. Paid a lot of money.
Oh, really?
I don't, you know me, I've worked outside and keep them in my whole life, so I don't think. Snow skiing. There's always a breeze on the prairie.
Yeah.
It's that wind that you guarantee.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, everyone gets to know, everyone works in the same line. The little kids get to know you, they come to.
We had one short, and we were Don's. Now we're back up to like N, O, yeah. I've seen Q's on here before, so.
Yeah, you know, I talked to David, a bunch of houses up front, and the meeting was okay back. He's supposed to be working. Take out the unit stuff first and then houses.
I mean, you sit in any one of them lines, you would touch it.
Yeah, the time we get to the last couple of lives, it's really important.
Yeah. And your chair, you just requested you move them around.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, okay. I mean, and I'm why you can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't be around. They're open 8 until 8. About 28.
But we get,
Thursday night, weekend workers, police, second, third shift, horses. And then between the two services, we usually get
It's there. It's a very, very. It's just. It's, there's only about. This is upstairs. All the important musical. They got a old. Yeah, parking lots.
Well, now you're going.
Yeah, we're seeing.
Yeah.
Where'd you stay at? This Hilton House.
Right away.
There's a Hilton, this is called Spark.
Oh, yeah.
It's all kind of the same brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume you're okay with things. I'm also okay with the water. Well, we're paying. Oh, yeah. It's safe on. How do we get out of that? Safe on the one that's for water. Basically, they're just gonna. As long as you're okay with it. We're done. Cool. I think she's done. You get it in like. So each one had their own forgiveness. Water.
All right, it is 6:30 PM. I'd like to call to order the Village Board of Trustees meeting of Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Will the clerk give the roll call, please?
President Trivia.
Present.
Trustee Bartoli. Here. Trustee Lewin.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Present.
Trustee Black.
Here.
Trustee Russell.
Here.
Trustee Frank. Here.
All right, we are all here this evening and we have a quorum. At this time I invite everyone here to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. The next will be the approval of the minutes. We have one set of minutes to approve this evening from the village board meeting of February 16th. Chair would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the village board meeting minutes of February 16th.
I'll second. Trustee Franzen, second.
I got a second from Franzen. All right, so there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the minutes of February 16th. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections to the minutes? Yeah, Trustee Bartholomew?
I have one correction to make. It's under item 11, subset B3. It's just the votes that were for and against. And it only has my name listed in the no votes, and there should be 2 names listed there. Do you see it?
Yeah, I'll do that first.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, and we got that one covered, Tina? Okay. Are there any other corrections or comments? Without objection, we accept that correction. All right, so then all in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. All right, and right away, we're gonna have our first opportunity for public comments. If you have a comment you'd like to share to the village board, please stand up to the lectern, say your name and your address. Just a quick disclaimer, we are live streaming on the internet right now, so just try to keep it civil and remember that it will be saved for all time.
Tom Shaughnessy, 45 Lickby Drive. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, you talked about the topography and the institution which was added on to the condos. Should their program fail in 10 years, 9 years, will the condos be still part of topography and not sold off separately? That's one. Number 2, at the meeting you had where you could barely get in at the high school about topography and boat slips, they said they were going to have 2 boats, 2. Now all of a sudden they're going to have 12 slips. Are you going to allow them to rent them out? And I know that you don't answer because they're comments, but I feel as though this is taxation without representation. No one ever gets back to us with an answer. So I look forward in 2 weeks to get an answer from somebody. Tell me what's happening. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaughnessy. Are there any other public comments at this time? All right, there will be another opportunity towards the end of this agenda. So we'll move on to the presentation of accounts and petitions. Our Finance and Personnel Chair will present these. Trustee Wright.
Thank you, President Jaramillo. I first present for board approval the report of payroll ending 2/20/2026, the amount of $50,184.07.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the payroll ending 02/20/26. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you. Secondly, I present for board approval the report of accounts payable unpaid dated 2/27/2026, amount of $1,422,396.94.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts payable unpaid dated 02/27/26. Any questions or comments on the motion?
I just have one comment.
Yes, please.
Jennifer, I don't know if it really matters, but on the title for the expenses, it says Geneva Lake Law Enforcement Agency, GLLEA, and the charges for the GLEA.
It does matter.
Okay.
I will let them know.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Then I present for board approval, we'll do each of these separately since they're a fair amount of money, but the first one is payable prepaids dated 2/18/2026, the amount of $75,737.92.
One second.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the account payable prepaids dated 02/18/26. Any questions or comments on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
Then I present secondly for board approval, the report of accounts payable prepaid stated 2/19/2026, the amount of $41,864.50.
One second.
So the first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts payable prepaids dated 02/19/26. Any questions or comments on this motion?
Most of them is back from Woodland and it's all refundable.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries.
Then I present for board approval, the report of accounts payable prepaid stated 2/25/2026, the amount of $600,919.16.
One second.
And there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts payable prepaids dated 02/25/26. Any questions or comments on this motion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda is the January 2026 financial statements. I'm going to recommend we defer that until the next meeting. The report has most of the expenses in it, does not have the revenue from January in it yet, and so I think it's best that we put off approving that until it's relatively more complete. Any objection?
No.
Okay. I'm done then, President Mayor.
All right, thank you, Trustee Wright, for that. The next item on the agenda is the president's remarks. I do have one that I'd like to add that wasn't on the agenda, and that's just a big thank you, congratulations to the Williams Bay Recreation Department and the school and everyone else involved for throwing a very successful event this weekend on Saturday, a trading card show. It's the first time we've done it. It was hosted at the school. I understand over 165 tables were set up in the high school cafeteria and gym with over 100 vendors present. And throughout the day, there were nearly 2,000 visitors that had went through the event. So very successful. I believe it was the juniors sold concessions to raise money for their prom. So all in all, just a good event for the community. And congratulations to our rec director, Ryan, and everyone else involved. So thank you, Ryan. All right, and that was my one remark. So we do have a committee report this evening from our Protective Services Chair, Trustee Block.
Good evening. We've got one item on the agenda tonight, and that being an original operator license for, looks like, I know I'm gonna get the name wrong, Karan Patel, and it's for Sitco. And I would make a recommendation, or I'd make a motion that we approve the operator license based upon them passing the background check.
1 second.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve the operator license contingent on a background check being passed. Are there any questions or comments on the motion?
I believe the background check was passed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that contingency has already been met. So we worded, all right,
Sorry
No
about that, it
problem.
was confusing.
yeah, all right. So all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries.
And that's all I got.
All right, thank you, Trustee Block. We do have one item for ordinances and resolutions this evening, and our Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Chair, Trustee Franzen, will present that.
Thank you, President Romeo. So tonight is the discussion of possible action on ordinance 2026-03, rechapter 205, housing standards and rental property, article 3, short-term rental of residential dwellings, including fees, enforcement, and penalties. The board approved the first reading, so tonight is second reading and possible adoption. I've worked with Allison Schwartz, our zoning administrator, and David Westvike, our village administrator, to review the current code with the village attorney, identified proposed amendments to strengthen the village's ability to effectively regulate short-term rentals within parameters permitted by the statute. So I move to approve the second reading of the ordinance.
1 second.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-03. Are there any questions or comments on the motion? I've said this every step of the way, but I just want to thank you for the work that was put into this, and we really appreciate getting this done. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries.
So I move to approve ordinance 2026-03, chapter 205, housing standards and rental property, article 3, short-term rental of residential dwellings, including fees, enforcement, and penalties.
You mean, yeah.
I'm sorry, did I say that? Okay. I will amend my motion to adopt ordinance 2026-03.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to adopt ordinance 2026-03. Any questions or comments on this motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, the ordinance is adopted. All right, thank you, trustee Franzen. We move to item 11, other items for discussion. First up is we have discussion and possible action on the application for a Class B beer and Class C liquor, wine only liquor license for the Women's Leadership Center at Williams Bay, not-for-profit. Can that be? Okay. Chair would look for a motion to start discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve the application of the Women's Leadership Center for the liquor licenses as read. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I got a question. As a point of order, shouldn't liquor license be going through committee? Oh, that one did go through. All right. Did I miss that? You did. It did? All right, that's why. So it went through. That was my only question. So, thank you, Tina.
Sorry, we do some stuff without you when you're not here.
That's
Sorry
quite
about
all
that.
right.
Yeah, all right. Any other questions on the motion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries. All right, and the second item for is discussion and possible direction for the village attorney to prepare a draft development agreement with Yerkes limiting future vehicular access to village streets. To start discussion, I'll make a motion to direct the village attorney to prepare a draft development agreement with Yerkes limiting future vehicular access to village streets.
Second, Franzen.
All right, we have a first and a second on that motion. Just to introduce what this is, the Yerkes Future Foundation has been before the Plan Commission 3 times now with their application for a conditional use permit to build their new playground that they like there. The issue that the Plan Commission kept bringing before them was an issue that the residents were bringing up to us was the traffic exiting already on Parkhurst is substantial, and they had a plan to exit this traffic in the future on the Constance Boulevard, which we felt and residents felt may be substantial to them. So from direction of the Plan Commission, we recommended entering into a contractual agreement before approving any conditional use permit with them in the form of a development agreement that they would agree to exit their traffic either onto Observatory Place or directly onto Highway 67, Geneva Street. The way the actions work here is that the development agreement would be drafted by our attorney, and then we'd go back to negotiations with them. The first question we had was, well, if our attorney's writing it, are we paying for that? And Dave, I think what's the answer to that question?
I would be paid for through the reimbursement agreement with Yerkes.
Okay.
So Yerkes would be paying.
All right. So then, before we could actually direct the attorney to draft this agreement, we did need to bring it before the village board and have the village board approve that direction of the staff. So that's where we're at, and that's what the motion is for. Best I could describe it, but if there's any questions, Dave and I could try to answer them.
I have some comments on that.
Yeah, please.
I think we have a planning commission for a reason. They have gone to the planning commission 3 times. Each time with the same request that was tabled. The planning commission could have, made a recommendation to approve, it could have denied it, but they tabled it with clear instructions. We need the road first. Here's the Baxter and Woodman has come up with some recommendations. Go figure it out and come back to, when you have it all figured out, come back to the planning commission. I have no idea why it's going to the village board here. In addition, Jurki has sent out a letter to all the residents that are neighboring residents, and they're saying it's gonna be 8 years before the road comes in. Timeline is 2028 or 29, not 8 years, but 2028, 29. And in the letter here, that the Dennis Road says perhaps within 3 years. That's not gonna work for me, so I think what they should do is go back to the planning commission meeting, the way it was set up, and present the plan, put the road in, and we go from there. That's what they wanted, and that, I think it sends a clear, really the wrong message to the planning commission meeting for starters, and we should stay with the program here. That's what I think. I'm gonna vote no on that, motion to the back. So I'm gonna vote no on that.
All right, I understand your viewpoint. Are there any other comments or questions?
My biggest concern is somewhat in conjunction with trustee Human's concern, is about timing. I think 3 years of dumping all the traffic onto a residential street is an unacceptable response. I understand that what we're trying to do is find a path by which we can move forward. And I think the development agreement is a good way, contractual agreement is a good way to do that. I'm just concerned that 3 years is too long.
Okay. Are there any others before I respond?
Well, I just wanted to say that, I have a concern with just moving the road as they proposed at the last plan commission to the other side of Parkhurst. So you're still inconveniencing those residents on Parkhurst on the back side, on the west side. And I do agree. I think the plan commission is handling this very well, and I don't feel comfortable kind of stepping in midstream, just allowing them to continue what they're doing and we'll work with them.
Well, any road timelines would be in the development agreement. So before we could get to that step, we need to have it drafted. Yerkes were the ones that wanted our village attorney to write the first draft to expedite the process. The reason we're doing the village board now is because it's going to be us directing the village attorney to do that step. The development agreement that gets drafted would go back to the planning commission, or Ken, whether or not they put the road, that one proposed road that trustee Franzen mentioned, or not is to be determined. The issues about that would be considered at that time. But I think the planning commission, and I guess I can't really speak for all of them, and we're not here, but we've been handling it the best we can, but we're at an impasse now, and they're agreeing to our terms that they want us to write the terms, and that's what we're trying to do with this step. So,
Adam, can you expand a little bit more why the planning commission is at an impasse?
well, we've basically gotten to this ultimatum already, where we're not going to be considering the conditional use or any further development until there is a development agreement in place, specifically one that locks them into a traffic plan for their exit traffic.
So do they want to build the playground before the road is put in?
Yes.
Is that what they want to do?
Yes.
Just the playground, yes.
And they probably, I'm guessing, want to do the playground sooner than later,
Yes.
but the
Yes.
road could take up to 3 years, or possibly 8 in another.
No,
I'm not sure where 8 is coming from.
no,
but-
it's up till 2020.
2028, I'm sorry, okay.
Well, the interesting thing was, according to the right, is that it's based on funding and fundraising for the road, which might be done in 3 years or might be done in 8 years.
Yeah.
As chairman of the finance committee, I can only speak to the fact that funding is a matter of choices. What do you choose to fund?
Well, we were at an impasse. This was an option that came before us, and I thought that was a way of moving it forward where we were considering all parties. If you don't feel this is the way to go, we could continue to stall this development and let them write their own development agreement and slow down the whole project. I'm in consideration that, I'm of the opinion that this is a big step forward and it's a good way to go. Ultimately, in that agreement, however it's drafted, we can still not let them begin construction on the playground until they build the road first. We could put that in the contract. So this is just a step to get something on paper, the initial steps of getting the negotiations started, sending drafts between each other.
And as a member of the plan commission, I having sat through 3 meetings now in which we considered this, we're dead in the water, we're stuck. The plan commission won't grant a conditional use permit until there's a roadway designed that doesn't dump traffic onto Constance or Parkhurst. And the plan commission can't do anything more except vote it up, vote it down, or table it. Or this, I think, is a way to give the plan commission a way to move forward with this in hopefully an acceptable manner.
Yeah, to be clear, we're not agreeing to build the playground before a road is done. We're agreeing to begin drafting a development agreement.
I think it would really, and it's tough to say which way to go because you really need to know the specifics on what would be in there. Because the playground is really the only leverage that the village or planning commission has to ensure that the road goes in. Unless there was some type of stipulation and timeframes and stuff like that. It can't just be hinged upon financing because that could take forever or it could never happen. Right. So I don't know, I can certainly appreciate being at an impasse, but I don't want to give up that leverage if that's the only leverage you have.
And I would say that the plan commission and board would maintain that leverage during negotiations of this development agreement.
So I'll just finish real fast. I certainly would never agree to the idea of building this playground without knowing specifically on a hard date, quicker than later, when that road is going to be built, because the citizens around that area should not suffer from the traffic.
Right, that's what's gonna happen.
So, I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's, I was just gonna say, why isn't your keys writing their own development plan and bringing it back to us?
And
With the understanding that a 3-year time frame is not gonna be acceptable. So to write a developer's agreement that has 3 years in it to build a road is not gonna fly, I don't think. And who would participate with the attorney to write that developer's agreement?
Well, as staff, we would initiate it based on the direction from the board this evening. And then that would come back to the board for your review and changes.
My opinion would be similar to trustee Block, which is you need to develop a plan that has a road in place when the playground is in place. That would be the developer's agreement.
So, yeah, and if we voted no to this tonight, then, it's the expectation if Rickies want to do anything, they would have to start the process themselves by writing a draft. This way we have the opportunity of our attorney writing that first draft and being reimbursed for it from them through the reimbursement agreement. So, I mean, I think we're just wasting time and kind of delaying if we have them write it and then have our attorney review it and then rewrite it. I don't see why we can't just start this now. And this was from their request. Yes, please, Trustee Brandon.
So my understanding is that Yorkies wants to move forward with the playground before the road. The plan commission wants the traffic pattern in the road developed before agreeing to the playground. How does the developer agreement, if we say you have to wait to do the playground until you've got the road in, how does that get us any closer to the solution?
It's
Seems
a
like we're just
contract, because right now we can just verbally ask them to do something, but this would be a contract. This is what the planning commission's direction was contract. I think I've explained it enough.
But if we move forwards with having our attorney write up an agreement and then present it to your keys and they decline it, can we still recoup the costs
Yes.
at that point for writing it?
Yes.
together an agreement with very specific stipulations on it, because it sounds like we all want the road in pretty quick. And put those stipulations in there, then there's an agreement in place on what we want. And then it's up to them to decide whether or not they're gonna follow through with it.
I mean, that's what the development agreement is. These are our stipulations in contract form. If you want it, agree to it or not.
I mean, all it's doing is it's putting what we're asking for on paper.
About, you were not at the planning commission meetings, but they haven't picked a road yet. They haven't, there is no plan.
No, there's not.
There is no plan. There are several plans available to them, but they refuse to pick one. That's the whole issue.
But I think the goal of the development agreement would be to force them to specify a plan, a specific plan, and a date by which it would be done.
Well, yeah, but as it says, what bothers me to no time is our hope would be that the agreement acknowledges that funds still need to be raised by the Yerkes Future Foundation.
Yeah, but understand who this came from. Obviously, the Yerkes Future Foundation would prefer to do it their way.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that doesn't mean we have to.
No, exactly. That's what I'm gonna vote now.
So, Adam, I have another question.
Please.
If we were to approve for the attorney to write up a developer's agreement, does that come back to the board, for the board to approve a developer's agreement before we give it to your committee?
Yes.
That doesn't make sense?
Yeah, it makes no sense. Go back to the planning.
We would not present any agreement to anyone without the board agreeing to it. So the next step would be for the board.
Yeah, but I guess I'm okay.
I can't ask the attorney to put hours into doing this development agreement without board approval, so that's why we're here now.
I get that, but I mean, I wouldn't approve a developer's agreement if it says 3 years to develop.
We're not approving any writing tonight. We're approving. the
I
action
get that. I'm
of
just
writing.
saying, I'm just saying that if you write a developer's agreement that has stuff in it that the board wouldn't approve, it's counterproductive in my view. So if you're going to, I'm not saying don't write, I'm not saying if I agree or disagree with having an attorney write one. I'm just wondering how it's gonna get written and what it's gonna look like. I mean, I agree that it would have to come back into the board and we can deny it at that point.
We
But
can
that,
definitely reconvene.
that just seems like a waste of somebody's money and time.
We can definitely convene before it's written and, or even send emails to staff about what we want in the first draft, as we've done with previous development agreements.
Yeah.
Like, board input is part of the process.
I mean, I just see it that, I think we know what we want. And if people are asking for it to be put in paper, why don't we just put in paper what we want? And then it's up to them to accept it or not. And as long as we're getting reimbursed for writing that paper, I don't really see it as a loss to us. You know, if that's what we're being asked to do and it's not costing us anything, I think we should get together and I know I've heard a lot, I'm sure we've all heard a lot from the community. I think we, just by us talking up here, we know, we have a consensus on what it should look like. Put that on paper and present it. Then the ball's really back in their court.
Any further questions or comments? Trustee Bartholomew, have anything?
I'm going to abstain, so I'm trying to not.
Oh, okay.
Well, I work there, so.
Oh, all right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll just call a vote and we'll see where we go. Yeah, please.
I was hoping you were gonna forget that, but just one of the, I guess, an observation is that this doesn't mean that it's doing anything contrary to what the planning commission's thoughts may have been up until this point. It could also act as a way to give a backstop to the planning commission and support their position, because sometimes you do have applicants that will make their way through the planning commission just to get through the planning commission so that the board has an opportunity. This way, it'll be a way to communicate back to Yerkes what the village board's position is, and they will know in no uncertain terms what they will need to do and how they'll have to perform in order for the board to consider approval of the agreement. So it may help to move it off center, because I feel the pain that the planning commission has been going through and feeling like it's kind of a stalemate.
what's the agreement for payment for the attorney fees, reimbursement?
Dave, can you answer that?
What would be the agreement for?
The agreement exists today. Any applicant that is coming before a commission, one of the first things they have to do is sign a reimbursement agreement. And that it's 100% whatever our costs are, it's just a pass through to them.
Do upon it's completed?
Yep.
All right, if there's nothing else, Tina, you give a roll call for this one.
President Bernier,
Aye.
trustee Bartholomew, abstain. Trustee Humans,
No.
trustee Wright,
Aye.
trustee Black,
Aye.
trustee Russell,
I'll go with aye.
trustee Grant.
I will go with aye to support the plan.
All right. So the vote is 5-1 with one abstention, and the motion does carry. All right. Thank you for that. We're done with the other items. We'll now move to public comments. This will be the last opportunity for public comments this evening. So if you do have something or a question you'd like to have answered at a future meeting, please step up to the lectern, give your full name and your address, and share your comment or question. Mr. Shaughnessy?
Sorry. On your joint meeting that's coming up, section 2, question E, all I want to know is when you get to that, could you explain what is your downtown master plan? I don't think anybody knows. I'd like to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaughnessy. Are there any, yeah, Mr. Williams?
Good evening, Ross Williams, 45 Parkhurst, along with all the neighbors here. I appreciate you all hearing us, reading what we give you. I understand what we're doing here. I appreciate the A's to do this. For one, I want Yerkes to succeed. I want the playground to get done, to be built. Being the neighbor of that property, it's not been that tough. I hope you guys know that it's not been that terrible, but we truly feel that they're not listening. And with the letter that I believe you all have copies of, February 5th, their intent of still going to Constance just irks us because it makes no sense to any of us. I don't think it makes sense to any of you for them to take traffic and divert it all over there when the traffic has come from Geneva Street to Yerkes for 120 years until, before they took ownership. It went around the oval. It operated just fine, and for whatever reason, they've closed the oval. So now they feel that they have to run the traffic back out Parkhurst, which has never been the case. We have asked them to route the traffic back to Observatory Place, one way, shape, or form. That was in their development plan that they initially gave us about a year ago. I think I saw plans of that a year or two ago before that. So it's not like this is a surprise to them. So we appreciate you trying to, in this development agreement that we are going to have drafted, try to get them to have the traffic go back out the way it came. It makes no sense for all the concrete to be put in for a new road to Constance or along the east side of their field, out. They can widen the road, I think maybe a foot or two on each side. There is not enough traffic that it is two-way traffic going in there all the time. I know they put in very nice gates that does not fit two cars if they go through right at the same time. I think we live in a civilized area here that we would not have somebody try to crash and go through that at the same time. But I don't think it is that hard for us to get them to, hear us out and try to have the traffic go all the same way it came. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any other public comments right now? This is your last opportunity until our next meeting, which will be on the 16th. And again, all our emails are public and some of our phone numbers, so please always feel free to reach out to any of the trustees here. Okay. This is coming
Are
up.
we gonna have any time to talk about at the next meeting at 6:45, committee of the whole regarding the parking issue? I will do that now.
Will you share your comment now, sir? Yes.
I am FJ Frazier with Gage Marine. I just wanted to, we've shared some of our concerns with the proposed 2-hour parking that's being discussed. I would just, one, like to say, I think those who will be impacted by this, we should be able to get together and have some compromise or some solution. We specifically have been very proactive on the parking situation. We have all our employees park there on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We bought a shuttle van and a golf cart to shuttle our employees back and forth. If the 2-hour ban goes into effect, that not only impacts people in the neighborhood, but Summer Haven, they have 5 spots down at their beach area. So there's nowhere for their residents to, they have to go down there for 2 hours and leave. We did offer the folks at the end of the street employee parking in our parking lot where we park our employees. We gave that off to them as soon as they opened, and they did it. A couple people did a couple days, and they did not do that. But I just would like to, before we make a decision of that magnitude, really realize the impact it has on that whole community area. And really, what we're talking about is the north end of that street, which is really turned into a bottleneck and a safety issue. So for that reason, I came here tonight just to let you know that, one, we're not in support of a 2-hour ban, a 2-hour parking limit, and secondly, we'd like to get to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So I think a wise thing would be to get some of us all together and figure this out, because I think we can. And like I said, we're more than willing to offer our lot, which is right next to the credit union. It's less than a block away from that location. So we certainly have ample space to allow additional cars to park there from employees. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser. Any other comments this evening? Tom, again? No?
Oh,
okay. All right. All right. Thank you for all the public comments this evening. We will move on to, so that's going to be the end. So adjournment of this meeting. Chair will look for a motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second, right?
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, we are adjourned. Now I'd like to call to order the joint meeting of the Village Board Committee of the Whole and Committees of Monday, March 2nd, 2026. We'll just do the roll call again.
President Carneo.
Present.
Trustee Bartholomew. Here. Trustee Newman.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Present.
Trustee Black.
Here.
Trustee Russell.
Here.
Trustee Franklin. Here.
All right, we do have a quorum this evening and a complete attendance and quorums of all of our committees. So first things first is we do have a set of minutes from the Joint Village Board Committee of the Whole and Committees meeting of February 2nd, 2026. Chair would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the minutes of February 2nd. Any questions, comments, or corrections? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
Abstain.
We have one abstain from Trustee Wright. Motion carries. All right, for those in the audience and for those watching at home, now we're going to go through each of the 6 committees one at a time. I'll introduce them, and then that committee chair will take over. You'll see some votes. You might only see a couple of people up here voting. That's because just that committee is going to be voting on those items. So that's why that's happening. All right. So first is going to be our Streets and Highways Committee, and that's going to be our Trustee Bartholomew, please.
Thank you, President Herno. I call to order the Streets and Highway Committee and note that Trustees Bartholomew, Black, and Wright are all in attendance. Our first item up for tonight is we're going to hear from our village engineer, Doug Snyder, about the 2024 streets maintenance program. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over a motion to approve the minutes of February 12th, I'm sorry. So I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from February 12th.
Second, right.
Any conversation or corrections on that? Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Then the next item is to hear from our village engineer, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I was hoping to be able to provide a plan forward for you tonight, but I'm not getting any of the responses I need from the bonding company or the contractor, so I'm gonna ask that it just be postponed to next month.
That's fine. Thank you. It was just informational. We'll wait for more information on next month. Thank you. And the next item then is for discussion and possible action on resolution R 2426, authorizing work order number 1, extending the term of the downtown master plan agreement with Van Wall Associates until December 31st, 2026. And so I'm just going to give a little bit of background, Mr. Shaughnessy, because it's been a while. So before I was on the board, I believe in the spring of 2024, the board approved moving forward with Van Wall to put together to do a study and then to put together a downtown master plan. And the parameters of that study were pretty broad. We went all the way from Harris Road on the east side, as far west as William Street, as far north as Stark, which is the one right by Fieldhouse, outside and then as far south as the lake. So it was a pretty large encompassing region. And they put together a plan that did some alternative planning for areas that aren't normally associated with our central business district. I think you guys would agree, sort of back by the Horvath building, sort of in that horseshoe parking area that's across the street from the rec department. So they did put together some plans, and those things are on our website, so you can see what they've done. But we found that in the meantime, with the addition of a new business in our downtown area, that we have different priorities now kind of going forward. And so to answer your question, what is a downtown master plan? We don't have one made yet. That's what we're trying to do. But I would like to see something that isn't just put on the shelf, something that we can share with people that want to come in and grow a business here in Williams Bay. So these are all the things that are in our downtown business district these are the rules, these are the ordinances, this is the overlay currently in existence, and then what things we can do going forward to make improvements. So for things like pedestrian traffic, parking, making the streetscapes prettier, putting in plantings and benches, just things like this. So it's kind of almost like a wish list of different things, that we can see in our downtown to make it a more inviting space and easier for people to use, a little bit more walkable perhaps. So that's what we're hoping to do, is to create something like that. But along the line, I'm kind of glad that it's taken this long, because we do have a new business now. And if we could put together a plan in 2024, we wouldn't be, attempting to address a lot of the things that we now see that kind of come about as a result of that business. So that's what we're attempting to do now, is to put that together. So I expect there will be some meetings that a Van Wall representative will be down here and in person, meeting with village members, village board members, and community members and business owners in the downtown district, and then putting something together, sort of like the comprehensive plan. That'll be a little bit of, input from people, and more input on their end, more work on their end, and then try to get something drawn up together that is trying to be usable document for our downtown district. So does that, I don't want to say anything that's not correct, because this all sort of started before I got here. Would anyone else like to add anything to that? That was doing this then? Was I the Streets and Highway Committee at that time?
I wasn't on the committee at that point in time, but I did sit on several meetings, and I guess my dilemma in extending their agreement is it doesn't appear to me we're giving them any more direction than we gave them the first time.
Well, I think that we're working, Dave can speak to this more than I can. Dave's in conversation with them. So I don't know, Dave, if you want to share anything about that right now, or we're.
At the committee level, there was direction provided, and I've had that conversation with the planner with Van Wall, so they understand kind of the shift in focus, I guess, that the committee laid out at the most recent meeting.
think it was decided not to make a new RFP and send out for more proposals. Just,
Right.
I think it was decided that we could make modifications just in this way, just for conversations, kind of more casually. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of, we're kind of agreeing to something, that it isn't much different than what we saw in the committee meeting. So I'm going to make a motion to recommend approval of work order number 1, extending the term of the downtown master plan agreement with Vanderwall Associates until December 31st, 2026.
A second.
Any more discussion?
But I'm kind of looking at Dave to answer this question. Wasn't there an issue that the ARPA funding that was originally going to pay for this study was used up and now we don't have this funded?
So there actually are some ARPA funds remaining, but they're not sufficient to cover the full cost of the contract because at least one of the other projects that was part of the ARPA funding went substantially over budget. Most were in line, even a little bit under budget, but because of that one project, there's not full, I forget the dollar amount, but not the full amount of the contract available of ARPA funds.
And then I guess my question to Trustee Wright, who's on this committee, but also our finance chair, is this would be not, that fraction is not budgeted then?
I guess I wasn't aware of the fact we had a shortfall in funding. I thought the project was paid for, so. Obviously, if we need to come up with funds, we're gonna need to find them. We've already spent half of our contingency for this year. It's only February, so contingency is probably not a way to do it, but, it may be considered a capital expense and is a infrastructure plan. So maybe able to add it to the capital improvement plan. I'm not sure. We have to get an opinion about whether it's really a capital expense. But anyhow, if I don't know how much money we need, but I suspect we can find it if we need it.
Always, right?
Well, I mean, something will have to go. If it's a capital expense we take out of the CIP, then either we need to revise the CIP or we need to take something out.
And then at committee, there was some talk of we're gonna be commissioning a study of our downtown that potentially we look into what a parking plan would be. Maybe this is the time to add that to this study if we're gonna be paying for it, find a way to maybe.
I think that we've already done that. Yeah, that's the conversation that Dave's been having with Sonia, I believe.
That's correct. That was the direction from the committee.
So that was added into the scope of the.
Vanderwall is agreeable to including that as part of the study. They already had within their proposal kind of broad language about evaluating parking, but the committee's direction was a little bit more specific in identifying potential solutions.
Those are my comments and questions. Thank you.
Would it make sense, Trustee Bartholomew, to ask for a first deliverable from Vanderwall via, okay, here's specifically what we're going to do? I mean, I'm not opposed to extending the term, but it's much preferable to going on starting all over doing somebody different, but I'm still uncomfortable that we know what we're asking for. Or I'd like to see something tangible that says they understand what we're asking for.
So are you thinking about a timeline in terms of the deliverable from them? Or
No, I'm thinking of a list. No, a document that says, here's the things we're gonna do during this extension period.
I think we can do that. That sounds like a solid idea. Anything else? Well, then all those.
All right, I just had a question. Hey, when this was done back in 2024, we signed that agreement with Vanderwall, did they invoice for any of their expenses?
A lot less than what I had thought, and I apologize for this coming up so late, but it actually was the result of the audit that's underway right now at the village. There were some questions that the auditors asked about the status of the ARPA funds, and as about 5 o'clock tonight, I figured out that the funding source for this project was part of the ARPA funds. And I want to say that they've only billed for, it's under $3,000.
Yeah, I thought it was like 21.
I thought we were closer to being 50% through it.
Yeah.
But that's all that's been identified as part of the audit, so that's the number I'm going with right now.
If I might add with respect to funding, I'm correct in thinking one of the project went way over budget. That was a capital improvement project.
Correct.
That we chose to use ARPA funds to pay part of. If that project incurred a deficit out of the ARPA funds, then that ought to be considered, that would be covered out of capital funding, not out of reduced ARPA funding. So again, as I've said several times, we're trying to close out the projects on the 2022 borrowing. And it looks like we need to go back and adjust that. Because I think any deficit that was incurred out of that project ought to be covered out of capital expense, not out of reduced ARPA funding.
That would pretty much cover the full contract then, I believe, with Vanderwall.
Is that it? Anything else? So all those in favor of moving forward with Vanderwall until December 31st, 2026, say aye.
Aye.
I think motion carries. Thank you. And then the last item on our agenda is regarding the 2-hour parking restriction on Walworth Avenue and Lakeview Drive, to Lakeview Drive, north to Olive Street, and then up Elm Street, or William Street. And I'm going to move to table this item and bring it back to committee. And I'm doing so for a few reasons, but I think I should get a second on my motion so we can all discuss it then.
I'll second that.
Great, thanks. So do you want to go first, or should I speak first?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So on our meeting on February 12th, we voted to approve additional parking restrictions in the downtown. However, since that meeting, I have met with village staff and downtown business leaders. And tonight I'm recommending that we table this topic back to committee until further notice and bring it to the Finance and Personnel Committee at a later date. I'm primarily concerned with some of the things that were mentioned tonight from Mr. Frazier, but also the ripple effect in general that we're going to be finding as a result of this. And I can give you one further example. There's been plenty of others. But just for example, the library parking lot. So after speaking with library staff, it became clear that they see a real problem with this because they're trying to encourage people to come and to stay and to visit the library and to be there for hours and then maybe walk down to Frosty Moose or dip in the bay and get something, get some ice cream or whatever. So kind of to make it a whole experience down in Williams Bay. And if you just are restricting it to 2 hours and people are asked to be moving their cars, it's going to be challenging for that. And also it'll put more stress on that parking lot because it'll be one that doesn't have any restricted parking. And so therefore people who are going to be parking for extended periods are going to go and park in that lot and not allow patrons to the library. So you see what I mean? These are kind of like the ripple effects that I'm concerned that we're going to be encountering as a result of moving forward with this plan. So that's why I'm asking to table it. Any other thoughts and questions?
I'll just say that I can understand that, but I want it on the record that if we're tabling it for a month, fine. But this area in front of the Green Grocer has to be addressed. We're 2 months from summertime. We don't have enough enforcement and we need to do something. Now, I too had a conversation with Bill. I did not talk with Mr. Frazier. And those are two different businesses. And I'll admit, I was the one that really pushed to go all the way down Walworth because I felt that was the right thing. But with my conversation with Bill, I understand the differences in the businesses. So I was going to recommend that we pull back from Lakeview and not go down that far. But what I really do not want to have happen is we ignore this problem again. We've gotten to this point. We've heard from a lot of community people who are extremely upset. I won't even say how upset I am about the situation. And quite frankly, I feel it's been ignored for numerous months and we haven't addressed it. So if I have your commitment that we're gonna revisit this and take some action before summer, I'll go along with tabling it, but I'm very concerned whether or not we're gonna follow through with this.
Nope, you have my commitment that we're gonna keep working on it, because the situation is unsafe, as people have mentioned. And I believe that everyone down there realizes that there's a problem. And two, there's something to be said for giving things time to kind of settle a little bit, to kind of find sort of what is and what isn't a perceived problem down there. But I think we've had time to do that now, and that's one reason why we were trying to move so quickly, before at the February meeting, was because we were trying to get something going before the summer. But I think that we all understand there's a problem, and I know that Chief Tim too is stepping up. He's probably gonna have a report on that later in terms of the police report we'll see in a few minutes. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of numbers are there for that. So, no, I understand. I absolutely do. We have my commitment to that. Thank you. Anyone else on the board? Right, so let's take all those in favor of tabling this item until sometime later this spring, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second, right?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, trustee Bartholomew. Next up will be our Parks and Lakefront Committee, and that's gonna be under trustee Russell.
So I will call over the Parks and Lakefront Committee, and all trustee members of the committee are present. We have 3 items, 2 of them are repeats from previous years. Hopefully it will go faster than the last few things. First up is discussion and possible action on a request from the GLC regarding placement of signs along the lake path on village property. What they're asking to do is put 2 temporary signs, 24 by 18 inches, along the walking path, which I would assume will only be in the Edgewater Park area. Even though this says piers on our right up here, they're really requested to be along the path. 2 signs, so I'm assuming 1 on each end. Maximum amount of time they can be up to 60 days. So I'm gonna make a motion approving a request from the Geneva Lake Conservancy regarding placement of 2 signs along the lake path on village property during the walk around the lake event. Is there a second?
Second, right?
Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next is a repeat from last year. Discussion and possible action on a municipal business lease with Crescent Moon Massage Therapy for 2026 for yoga on the beach. And this year including placement of a temporary sign while they are doing yoga on the beach. So they do yoga on the beach from 7 a.m. to 8:15. Every day, I think, during the week from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Eric, Ryan, is that correct? They don't do it on the weekends, right? Monday through Friday.
No, it is.
And they want to, at the same time, this is renew their lease for the 2026 season and allow them to place a temporary sign at the beach from 7 a.m. until 8:15 a.m. So I will make a motion recommending approval of resolution R-2426 for a municipal lease and a request from Crescent Moon to place a sign at the Williams Bay Beach during their yoga on the beach from 7 a.m. to 8:15 during the season, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Second, Brandon.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So I just had a question, on how the fee was negotiated for the business lease.
Yeah, it was years ago.
It's a dollar per person.
She only charges like $10 a person, I think, for it. So that's where it comes from.
Okay,
It's very nominal.
that is very nominal.
Yeah, just for using the beach.
And I believe the agreement, the lease agreement is pretty clear about the use of the signage. It can't be there overnight unless we move at the end of the sessions. I think it's pretty clear.
Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Gonna go to finance. And then last, this is third season for this, discussion and possible action on a request from the DNR to have the conservation warden's boat lift on the West Pier for the 2026 season and waiver of any fees. And as I said, I think it's worked out really well in the last 2 years. Most of the time his boat sits there because it doesn't work. At least last year. Hopefully this year it works, since it's brand new last year. So I'll make a motion recommending approval of a request from State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to install a boat lift on the West Pier for the Wisconsin DNR Conservation Warden boat for the 2026 season and the waiver of fees associated with that. Is there a second?
Second, Brandon.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries also. And we'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Second, right?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right. Thank you, trustee Russell. Next up will be the Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Committee, and that will be trustee Francis.
Thank you, President Haramia. So our first item, call the Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Committee to order. Trustees Brandon, Block, and Russell are present. Our first item is discussion of possible action on amending chapter 390 zoning article 3 land use regulations and 390-0310M tourist rooming house, including fees, enforcements, and penalties. The Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Committee recommended approval on January 5th. And at the January 19th village board meeting, there was support for the amendments, but questions, and the draft ordinance was sent back to the BZO for possible changes. In the meantime, I did get some questions from some property owners of tourist rooming houses. And so we went back to the village attorney. The question was relevant to the state requirement of needing to have a state license for operating 10 or more than 10 days in each year. And so the village attorney indicated that a conditional use permit is still required if a property owner intends to operate their tourist rooming house for less than 11 nights per year, and has made some adjustments to the language of the ordinance to align that with the state. Also made an adjustment to align that any person who maintains, manages, or operates a tourist rooming house for more than 10 nights in a year obtains a permit from the village for this. And then there was one clerical error that was corrected in terms of adjusting the appropriate section. So I move to recommend approval of amending ordinance Chapter 205, Housing Standards and Rental Property, Article 3, Short-Term Rental of Residential Dwellings, including fees, enforcement, and penalties. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So a question, trustee Franson, they requiring a conditional use permit if they rent more than 10 nights a year. Does the 10 nights a year come from state statute?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It carries.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for the
Push button, say aye. Push button, say no. Sorry.
So that moves on to the plan commission. The next item D, discussion and possible action on an ordinance creating section 12-4 of the Code of Ordinances concerning Tourism Commission, establishing a Village of Williams Bay Tourism Commission. I'm going to move to table this, and I would like to get a second so that I can have a little bit more discussion about why I would like to table it.
I'll second it for discussion.
Thank you. So in reviewing the ordinance, I noticed some structural inconsistencies with the statutes, the state statutes, and with our village code 46-11. And then also wanted to really have it clear in our heads the impact to the Williams Bay Business Association, which has been receiving the room tax revenue since 2003. And is considered to be a legal tourism entity I know that there have been discussions about funds still being channeled to the WBBA, but there's nothing in this document that specifically states that. And so I actually got a call from Rob Elliott, the current president of the WBBA, this afternoon, asking if we could pause the movement of this particular ordinance so that the WBBA board has time to meet with us and consider and talk through the implications to that organization. And then once this is adjusted, we also need to look at making some changes to the Williams Bay Ordinance 46-11 to make sure all of the language matches.
Did you have anything specific in here that you want to point to? That you said?
That conflicted? Yes. So I'm suggesting that the Tourism Commission is subject to open meetings and public records, and that that's explicitly stated. In section 1B, the Wisconsin statute that's referenced should be 66.0615, not 66.0175. Section 1C3, the definition is inconsistent with both the village code and state statute definitions, so we should probably reference either one of those, whichever one we feel is most adequate. Section 1D1 suggests revising to 70% of the room tax revenue collected by the village. There's a statement referencing sales price receipts. However, with the current state change, I don't think it's necessary to mention the sales price receipts because that's now how room tax is calculated. Section 1D2, do we want to consider adding that capital improvements exceeding a certain dollar amount require village board approval, or is the board approving every expenditure? Section 1D3, just clarity on what monitor the collection of room tax means. I know that that's coming straight out of the state statute, but I'm not sure exactly what the responsibility of the commission is in regards to that. Section 1D4, do we want to consider adding a competitive bid or RFP process for selecting the tourism entity? Should we require the tourism entity to complete a public tourism impact analysis? Section 1D5, should the board determine eligibility, matching requirements, scoring criteria, and conflict of interest recusal rules? Section 1D6 and 7, the state ordinance or the state statute requires an annual certification of how funds were spent. The ordinance only references quarterly reports. And then I also wanted us to consider whether or not we want to report on measurable outcomes from the commission. So not just where did they spend money, but what did that give us? Section E1 needs a statement regarding potential removal of a commission member, considering staggered terms, limit representation from a single entity. Commission members abstain from voting on matters in which they have a direct financial interest. Section E2, I'm suggesting that we add a local small business representative to the commission, and possibly a minimum number of years in the village hotel motel industry. And then if approved, we would need to amend Williams Bay Ordinance 46-11 from 70% to be forwarded to a tourism entity for use to 70% to be forwarded to the Tourism Commission created under section 12-14. So just a lot for us to think about, talk through, and again, my concerns about the impact to the Williams Bay Business Association. So just wanted to take a pause. I know we want to get this started soon, but I think it's worth our time to just take a step back, talk to the WBBA, and come up with a clear path forward with some of these structural and policy discussions. So, any other discussion or questions?
I just want to point out too that our comprehensive plan, the economic development chapter, isn't based on tourism. So I think right away we're kind of out of alignment with the comprehensive plan. So I mean, the word tourism literally only appears twice in that entire chapter. So it's not like a foundational building block of our economic engine here in the village. It wasn't seen that way, at least by the people that, that helped construct our comprehensive plan. So what is in there in terms of economic development are things like greater connectivity to Kishwaukee. So I would advocate for having members of the commission, having one member come from the Kish Board of Directors. It talks about greater connection to our lakefront. I would advocate for having one member of the commission maybe be from the rec department or for some other entity, from the harbor commission, some other entity that is part of our lakefront community. It talks about using local businesses, entrepreneurs in our village already. And I would again advocate that at least one representative on the commission be somebody from our business community or our WBBA. So these ways, I think, even though we're kind of out of alignment with the comprehensive plan, I think we can do a lot to try to bring, to kind of bridge it, to kind of use the things that are in the comprehensive plan in terms of talking about this new commission. So that's just something that I would advocate for in addition to everything that Susan already talked about.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm wondering if we need to take time as a board to put together sort of a vision for what we want tourism to be so that the commission has guidance on.
I would think that's what the WBA currently should be doing, or what a tourism commission should do, not the board.
Is create that
They should
vision.
create the vision. I agree. And I would question, first, Mayor, I would question your comments, because the WBBA, according to, I think, what I've heard from Rob, Elliott, and from Susan, has been taking room tax money for 25 years, approximately.
Probably.
I've never seen him, I've been on the board for 3 years, I've never seen him come and do a board presentation. I've never seen that as a conflict with a comprehensive plan. I don't know, I just think the WBBA has, they may have a vision, but I don't think that vision has really been shared as far as what their tourism vision is, so. I don't know, I did a 6-year analysis of how they spend their money, and I don't find it to be, I'll use the word appropriate for tourism. You have approximately, I think, 35,000 spent on social media and internet web development for a 6-year period, I mean, in 2025, 2024, and yet you go on their website, discover Williams Bay, and on there 2 weeks ago, it doesn't work.
I'll just say that I think this commission is necessary. I've always questioned about funding with the WBBA. I support the WBBA, but I got questions where all these funds are going. I don't think they've been very open with the board. I know they, by state statute, they provide us with their budget. Doesn't really say much when you spend $6,000 on office supplies. I can't see how that's possible. So my concerns are, there'd be no way I would ever agree to just not having a commission and letting this money go right to the WCBA. I think there has to be a thing in place. And I'll also say that the board has done things and then we've come back and polished it up and made corrections and made it better. And I, quite frankly, am very direct, it's time to get this going. We've been working on it for a while. And if there's things that need to be tweaked, we can tweak it. But I think delaying it is not the right thing to do.
I'm not on your committee, but I'd like to say a few words. So I think we're turning over a new leaf here. I also did a workout on the WBBA, how they spent the money, how the money that has been coming in and how it's going out. This is not the meetings to discuss that, but there's a lot of red flags there, you put it that way. So there's a lot of money at stake here. But I have a question. Who put this together, this ordinance? Is that Mark, legal?
Who prepared it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was Village Attorney Schrader.
Okay, so I read through this, and I don't see a whole lot of things that I think should change necessarily. So I don't think it should be delayed. It should be, if there's something that needs to be some wording that needs to be changed, but overall, I think this was pretty good. And also, it doesn't mean the WBBA ceases to exist. They have income from the businesses still ongoing, except a new commission will take over and determine the way it's spelled out in here. And I think it's pretty straightforward.
If you read
How it's
that,
spelled out.
I believe the WBBA is a tourism entity.
Yes.
They are the legal.
And if you, as you read this, the tourism commission can contract with tourism entities.
Gives them money.
Correct. So they could still contract with the WBBA.
Yes.
So the state statute, as I read it, is that, the only time that the village could contract with a tourism entity is if there isn't already one in place
That's not how I read it.
in the state statute.
That's not how I read it.
Okay. That's how I interpret it.
I thought it was pretty clear that it's up to the tourism commission to contract with any tourist.
And that's what the draft ordinance says.
And that's how the draft ordinance is.
That's the way I read it.
I'm just not comfortable approving it with the inconsistencies. And I do feel like there has to be a conversation with the WBBA and an opportunity for them to have some sort of transition period to this new arrangement. Regardless of, even if there is inconsistencies in what they did and we don't understand it, that's oversight that we didn't do. That we
So,
should have.
I have a question about the WBBA. This came up on a committee meeting on January 7th. So 2 months ago. I met with Rob Elliott on a different issue 3 or 4 weeks ago and mentioned this. And he waits until today to call you about it?
I don't think this should be tabled, I think it should be moved forward, and, you know, we basically did the discussion now, we brought up the issues that we need to have sorted out, and we can have those sorted out by the attorney on the way to the final draft. I agree that this has been on, like, this was on the committee 2 months ago, over 2 months ago. And I personally spoke with Rob Elliott back in July, telling him, hey, heads up, this is something that's gonna be getting done once we're through budget season and once we have the time to take it on. So they've had a lot of warning to come talk to us, come talk at a meeting, write emails. And I guess as chair of BZO, you also had this for the last 2 months, and then the emails, all the questions and issues hit this afternoon.
Well, some of these were questions I had the last time we brought it up, which is why we didn't fully.
And then some of the things that you're saying aren't specifically outlined, the open records, ways to remove members, conflicts of interest, that'll all be inherited from state statutes, so they don't need to be directly outlined. And I think we can confirm with our attorney on that, but there's really not as many issues with this, and it should be moving forward. We had to delay it 2 months since January to get it to where we are now. I think it needs to get a committee rewritten, you know, tweaked, polished, as trustee Block said, and get done. That's my intake. That's my input.
All right, so the motion on the table is to table this option, or this ordinance. So let me call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
I
oppose. I oppose.
Okay, motion failed. All right, so I will entertain a new motion.
I'll make a motion recommending approval of an ordinance creating section 12-14 of the Code of Ordinances concerning tourism commission establishing the Village of Williams Bay Tourism Commission.
And I'll second.
First from Russell, second from Block. Any discussion? I just want to say that I will vote no because I feel like there's corrections that need to be made before we can approve it. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No? No? Motion passes. All right, next is discussion of possible action authorizing the publishing of a building inspectional services request for proposal document. Staff have prepared a draft RFP for inspection services, building inspection services, which were reviewed with myself and trustee Wright. The draft RFP has purposely not been provided to the code enforcement officer and zoning administrator, Allison Shore, because she has expressed interest in providing building inspection services. So I move to direct staff to publish and distribute a request for proposal for building inspection services.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Can I ask a question, please? Under scope of services, number 2 says coordinate building permit applications with zoning administrator and zoning code compliance. Does this establish a different procedure than we currently have?
It confirms the procedure that is in place. I'll just say it that way. One of the challenges that we have experienced is the lack of coordination.
Right, that's why I was going to get at.
Yeah, and making sure that the workflow is such to avoid problems. So that's why it's in there.
Thank you. I got a question for you, Dave. Under submittal content, number 4, provide proof that the contractor is licensed, bonded, and insured. Not every contractor is bonded.
As a building code official, I believe that may be a requirement that they be bonded. There's similar requirements, like for example, the village clerk has to be bonded.
Oh, you're talking about the person who's going to provide the service. Okay, not a contractor coming in.
Correct. This is for the contractor.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that moves forward to the village board, and I move to adjourn the BZO committee.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Right, thank you very much, trustee Franzen. Next is gonna be our water and sewer committee, and that will be trustee Humans, please.
Okay, call the order of the Water and Sewer Committee. Trustees Humans, Russell, and Batalla are here. First item on the agenda is item C, discussion and possible action on inclusive easement by the Village of Village Bay land lease and TDS Metrocom LLC for fiber optics lease and Village Water Well Pump House property located at southeast corner of William Street and Olive Street. So a little, we approved actually this on 119 on resolution 0326. The TDS Metrocom is going to put in 2026 fiber optics cable in the village. It will give the people who want a very reliable service, apparently. So after they staked that out, Wayne, Public Works, thought it was too close for comfort to pump well number 2. And so basically what resolution R 2623 does, it kind of moves it to the south by a few feet, right? Am I saying it right, Dave?
It'll be moved so that it'll be 12 feet off of the southern
So it's still on,
parcel line.
still on our land,
Yes.
and so that's all this is, so I'll make a motion to approve, resolution R, actually it's our finance and village board. I'll make a motion to recommend to the finance committee and village board to approve, resolution R 2326.
Second for Solomon.
Okay, first and a second. Any other discussion? Steve? No? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye, so it passes. Okay. The next one is item number D, 2026 welcome at fee increase, informational access. I like to say it's going to be informational for now. Usually at the beginning of the year, in January, we get a letter from Welcome At, or we have in the last couple of years.
saying here are your rate increases. We didn't get that this year. However, but they did raise the rates, and so, it's only welcome at the website. And basically, this is the form that's out there. And basically, the rate that they charge is different components, different, calculations on different things like BOD and consistency, but this one, has to do with the flow and the volume. And they're raising it from $1.74 to $2.12 per, 1,000 gallons. So what that means is, it's difficult to predict because the volume, well, it depends on the weather conditions. The drier, basically the drier the weather is, the lower the bill is. The higher it is, the more water infiltrates and the bill goes up. But I think the best estimate would be to, say that, if it's similar to last year, 2026-25, you could see an increase of about, say, $40,000, $60,000, $70,000. So it's very difficult to predict. This is one of the reasons why we are gonna do a big sewer line replacement from the, Pier 290 to the fire station, which hopefully Doug will talk about that later. So anyway, there's nothing really, I don't think we should raise the rates at this point. Last year, just for information, they also predicted a 22% volume increase. The volume is what is about 38% of the bill that we get every year. And actually, we thought the total bill was going to come out 841,000, and 2025 ended up at $809,000. So it was less. So this year we put in the budget 840. We'll have to see. We got January in already. January was about the same what it usually is. So if a couple months go by and it goes way up, then I'll be back and put it on the agenda. But otherwise, I think this is just, as I said, information only. Did you talk to anybody that welcome it about why a 21.8% increase in the flow volume rate? Why they do that? Did you talk to anybody or? No. Okay. But I did, I talked to, him 5 times a day, because Tom Snyder, and he is on the commission, he's a commissioner. Yeah, why'd you raise it so much?
Last year, Welcome had closed on at least a $15 million loan that was basically due to flow-related or phosphorus-related component. It all got assigned to flow. So you see a huge rate increase because we need to cover a loan that's gonna be about $1 million a year.
Yeah, I can tell you, I met Lori in the library, and she was trying to give me a heads up, saying there were several $12 million, $15 million projects that are all things that needs to be renewed that are that expensive. So most likely, the welcome bill will go up in the years to come.
Actually, they're using part of their cash to try to keep the rate increase as low as possible. They're chewing up some of their cash to make this happen.
Okay. Doug, stay way up there. Any other questions? No? Okay, we move on to item E, village engineer report.
Okay, I do have a 4-pager in the packet. I'm just gonna cover the stuff that's moving. You're welcome to ask me any questions. First of all, on State Highway 67, we did receive the state municipal agreement last month. On the water plant, Lomer, the floodplain thing, sewer pack responded on the 27th to the FEMA. FEMA turned around and said, we're doing nothing until we get more financing from the feds. So the feds opened back up. So it's sitting there doing nothing right now. The water plant, we did a walkthrough a couple weeks ago. That's actually looking pretty clean in there. I expect to have a request for final payment in April. And that's more on the agenda later. The well 2 pump, well 3 pump, so the well 3 pump replacement you authorized, and they should have the pump delivered and installed within the next month. And they replaced the broken valve at well 2, so it should be ready to go when it's there. So hopefully that's off the list in a month. I talked to Jack Pease about the Park Place. He plans to, as soon as frost comes out of the ground, they plan to install that water main, which he's hoping that it can be in the next 10 days. I've talked to, on the former elementary school, we plan to meet with the developer in the next 10 days to discuss scoping and timing of the public improvements around that school, just to get on the same page. Willow Bay Meadows, I talked to the developer today. The plat is not recorded yet, but it's at the Department of Administration for review. And the last one with Bailey Estates, Phase 6, the sanitary is all installed. The water main is nearly installed. We do have the stormwater ponds from the previous phases. He needs to do the repairs at the outlets yet. And according to him, those ponds have already been turned over to the village because he met his 125th closing. And the last,
Excuse me, Doug, are those subject to any inspection and sign off?
yeah, actually Wayne and I walked it, and he's agreed to make the changes to the storm ponds that we talked about. It's gonna be in the upcoming weeks here.
Okay, thank you.
He'll follow through. And the last is, there's a fence encroaching on the south border of Phase 6 from the former septic field. It's 1 foot onto the property. We're talking about it. I don't know what the resolution is. I believe the fence can be reset 1 foot inside of our own property. We're just talking about who's gonna do it and make it happen. Any questions from anybody?
On 67?
Yeah.
Okay, east-west. Last time you said the SMA would include price increase for a 5-foot wide sidewalk. Was it in there?
No, I don't believe, I think they deleted it because they didn't get a response.
So what are we gonna do about that?
I need to review that with staff yet and find out what we want.
Okay.
Does that SMA include any streetscape
Yes,
investment?
I believe so. I don't think it changed from that perspective.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, Ron, thanks.
Next on the list.
You wanna stay there for a minute? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action on the final change order for the water treatment plant improvements.
Okay, what you see in front of you is 5 pages. The cover sheet is an increased cost of $24,897. And for that, you get, we relocated a fan and modified the HVAC for the fan, and that would be the one right above your head when you're walking up the stairs to the 2nd floor and you're looking at it from the west. The second one is remove media from the clear wall. There's about 3 yards of media in the tank directly below the filter that needs to get pulled out of there. All it's doing is taking up water room. Next is, in order for the painter to warranty the floor, we needed to repair some penetrations, do some caulking to make that happen. And I can't remember the fourth one. Give me a second.
Wall repair.
Oh, yeah, we had some, laughing plaster that needed some help on the second floor of the
Building's that old, huh?
So, yeah, 1930s, believe it or not. Anyway, hopefully that's the last change order. It really did turn out nice. And, it works.
Okay, trustee Wright already asked me, can you pay for this? But, so just to give you a little rundown on it, this project was estimated at $4,542,000. We paid back $3,683,000 because of $860,000 principal forgiveness. There were 3 change orders, one for $44,000, one for $99,000, one for $24,000. And as it comes out, we had predicted some overrun on it, but we'll probably be going over the $25,000. And that will have to come out of borrowed funds. So that's up to the next week, about $4.5 million. So I make a motion to, this is on the finance committee, to recommend finance approval of the change order for the water treatment plant.
Second, that's all of you.
First, second. Any other questions? Discussion? No? All in favor, please say aye. 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 All opposed? Okay, sanitary sewer replacement status update.
Okay, just for informational purpose, we just, 2 months ago, I talked to you about issues with decks and trying to put linings and stuff, and, we finally got the plans back today. Wayne and I did. If we can move this forward, I hope to open bids on April 2nd and have it for committee action on April 6th.
April.
It's already March.
Yeah, I guess that's right. No, I mean, you keep pushing it.
I know, I agree, but we finally got the plans, hopefully that something will work.
Okay. All right, good. So, we're all done. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, that's all of you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
All right, thank you, trustee Umans. Next up, we have our Protective Services Committee, and that will be trustee Block.
So President or myself, trustee Umans and trustee Franzen. First item on the agenda is discussion and possible action on a conditional offer to police officer candidate. A while ago, we went through a round of interviews. We did make an offer potentially to a candidate, did the background check and that, and it was decided that we're going to pass on the candidate. So we went through another round, and at this most recent round, the committee made a recommendation to extend an offer to a candidate. But I'm going to turn it over to Chief Tim right now because there has been some recommendation and some changes in the process, and I think it would be best for him to explain that.
I appreciate that, trustee Black. There were some adjustments to our process that has taken place. So we, after discussion with a labor attorney, we have changed our process a little bit. So we have to run the background prior to offering a conditional employment. That conditional is based off of medical, psych, and drug screening. So those, they have to be separated in some form. So that was the easiest and best solution that the labor attorney has provided us with. That's why I'm here today after our background has already been completed. The interviews that took place on February 12th, we had, I think, 5. We conducted 5 interviews, diverse backgrounds. We were very pleased with the candidates. We actually were able to start backgrounds on 2 individuals who we thought were our front runners. One of the individuals did find separate employment at one of our neighboring jurisdictions, and he respectfully withdrew his name from the application process. The other applicant who you have in front of us continues and maintains his commitment to Williams Bay. This is Mr. Joseph Skirdo. Mr. Skirdo did work for us for 3 years prior to this. He left to go full-time in the military. They did decommission the planes that he was working on at the time, at which point he has now stepped away and is looking to regain employment here in Williams Bay. He fit in very well with the team when he was here, interviewed very well during this most recent interview, and we'd be excited to bring him back to Williams Bay.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief? All right, so I would make a motion that we recommend to the board that we extend a conditional offer to police officer candidate Skirdo.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion will carry. Thank you. All right, next item we have on the agenda is discussion and possible action on a temporary freeze for hiring and training and equipping Williams Bay Emergency Medical Services and Williams Bay Fire Police personnel. I see we have Chief Smith here for the fire department along with a couple other members. And I would like to first read for the record an email that I received from Rich Gluth, who is the chief for EMS. And that letter states, or email states, I am writing regarding the agenda you are addressing this evening. A, discussion and possible action on temporary freeze for hiring and training and equipping Williams Bay Emergency Medical Services and Williams Bay Fire personnel. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend the meeting tonight, and I am out of state on vacation and unable to address the board. I am unclear on exactly what this agenda item actually means, its intentions, or why it is being proposed. My comments are as follows, and I am responding to the unsure intention on the item. If my concerns are not part of this agenda, please disregard. If indeed it is proposing a hiring freeze and a freeze on training for fire and EMS, my comments are as follows. What is the purpose of a hiring freeze when we are in the need of personnel to respond to both medical as well as fire emergency calls? Shouldn't we welcome and recruit any new members who want to dedicate their time to our community? Even if the board is examining various options on staffing, I would be opposed to freezing fire or EMS training. All training is vital in keeping our skills sharp, and continued training is tied to firefighter, EMS health, and safety. As for EMS training, if that is frozen, our members would potentially lose certifications, as this is a requirement in maintaining our licensure. Perhaps your intent should consider the above facts. I do have one member of the Williams Bay Rescue Squad who, as of this morning, has submitted his application to the Williams Bay Fire Department. Prior to your possible intent for a hiring freeze, I would request that this request for application be considered before any change that may interrupt this dedication and education. He is presently in fire school and wants to support our community and volunteer on both EMS and firefighting. We should encourage and allow him to pursue his current education. George, I know you are a supporter of EMS and fire services, and I thank you for allowing me to express my concerns via this email. Since I cannot address the board in person, you have always considered safety and fire EMS services as an important presence here in our community. Moving forward, we will all need to work together to find options to continue to help our community stay safe. It says thank you. So that was sent to me from Rich Booth. I received it this morning. So this came about because a little bit of background. It's been a while ago, but I know EMS came to us, asked us for help because they're having difficulties with the staffing and providing service. So we
reached out to Fontana. We entered into agreements with Fontana. Fontana provides us paramedic level service. We had a referendum on that and it passed, and that's how we support that and pay for that now. In my opinion, the service has been working well. In my opinion, I think that we still need volunteers. And people who I've talked to, it's important for us to maintain our volunteers. Because if we have anything big, we need them to help support, we'll say our full-time EMS and fire and all that stuff. So in no way do I ever want to see our volunteers, or do I want to dissolve our volunteers. That is not the intent. The intent is to try to make sure that we're providing a good quality service to the community. So I know that it has come up. There's been some questions on how we can further support on the fire end. I know that all of our volunteers are extremely dedicated to the community. It takes a lot of work. They do it for extremely little pay, if you even want to call it pay. But they do provide a service, but it is becoming harder to get those volunteers. So I think the way that this came up, or how it came up, is because of the uncertainty. So the question became, should we just kind of slow things down until we get the whole, because now we're working on a fire, we'll say, support at this time. And we have a lot of questions, but we just don't have the answers at this point. So that's how this came about. And I want to hear from all board members who want to weigh in. I definitely want to hear from the chief and our fire and EMS personnel and anybody else who wants to weigh in on this, because it is a very important topic for our community. In trying to address some of Rich's things here, I know he's not here, but I will follow up with him also. I don't think it has anything to do with dissolving anything. So that's the first thing. We are really trying to figure out how to get you more support. You guys did come to us and ask us for that support, and we're following through and we're working on it. I agree with Rich from the standpoint that if we have to continue your training. I don't think anyone, or I certainly would never support the idea of taking away your current training. We have personnel in place. We have personnel in place, volunteer EMS. We have volunteer fire. They need to have their training. They need to maintain their credentials. So I don't think there, at least in my mind, any intent to take away from the training for the personnel that we currently have. The other thing is, it's great to see, Doug, are you aware of this EMS who also wants to be a firefighter?
Rich said something about it last month, that he was gonna be at our meeting, but was unable to make it, so he's gonna be at our meeting 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay. So personally, I would definitely support that. I mean, somebody who's already with our department and wants to do more, I mean, I definitely welcome that. So, am I missing anything here that Rich was asking? So I don't think it's taking anything away. It's just, we're in a tight budget, a very tight budget. And so as a board, we definitely have to watch every penny. Doug, I definitely want you to weigh in on this. So if you'd like to go ahead, go for it.
I understand what you're saying, but on our side of it, if we do happen to get somebody to walk in and want to volunteer to go to the school and be a fireman, I find it really hard to tell them we can't do it because we're on a hiring freeze. When it comes down to it, the firefighter one schooling is all paid for. The only thing the village pays for is $80 for their exam, the final exam. And then after a year, their turnout gear is purchased for them after a year being out of the department and passing their stuff. And that's all paid out of the 2% funds. So none of that stuff does not come out of the physical budget itself.
So all the equipment, like the coats and the scuba, all that stuff will come out of the 2%?
It won't be scuba, but that's, I mean, that's gonna be, we all have that right, but it's basically helmet, jacket, I mean, gloves, hood, boots, pants, it all comes out of 2%.
Can I ask, and you don't have to give me an exact figure, do you have a rough idea what that costs to suit somebody up roughly?
No, last year, I think it was, from head to toe, everything, 3,500 maybe, $3,000. What do you think?
Yeah, about
that. You're gonna go through a lot more of that.
Yeah. Are there other things that you use your 2%? And I'm asking you these questions so that everybody can understand.
2% pays for our fire inspector, who actually is with the fire inspections and our fire prevention, that's how we get the 2% funding. Then last year I actually used it for a big repair that was not budgeted for. So we bought equipment with it and everything else. And that's in the stipulations. I think everybody knows that there's certain stipulations that you can spend 2% on. So.
And I'll just answer for myself at this point, but I think that if there was a hiring freeze, let's say, and you had a good candidate, I would hope, or I would think you should be able to bring that in front of the board, and the board, you know, if we all felt it was a good candidate, hopefully would approve it for you. You know, I did this past, I think the biggest thing that I'm hearing and that I see is not so much trying to get the people. Yes, it's difficult to get the people and to get volunteers, but it's even more difficult to get them to come to calls. That's the problem we're having. I think that's the bottom line.
And that's
And I
the
think
ones that have been on quite a while, not the new ones are all normal.
I think that's what's coming about is we spend the money, when I say we, I mean us. If we spend the money, is it being spent wisely and are we getting a return on the investment? You know, so.
And you know as well as I do, being volunteers, it's when they're available.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're working 9 to 5, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that play into that. Any other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Trustee Black?
Yes.
Lieutenant Haas with the Williams Bay Fire Department. I find your comments a little conflicting, may I explain? By halting, freezing, or asking to bring that in front of the board when other departments are also running kind of like volunteer recruitment drives, it shovels those candidates to the other departments and keeps us at a deficit when we onboard them with the expediency like we have been doing. So I would recommend against doing that. And as somebody who spent 14 years in staffing and recruiting across the country, anytime a candidate runs into a roadblock, they're going to go elsewhere. They're going to go to the easiest path forward. And, you know, we can continue the discussion and work through what you would, I feel is ideal, is a good plan. But putting a halt out there will turn any candidate to a different department where we could use them here in Williams Bay.
See, and if I can respond to that, I don't think that's the issue. We haven't had a hiring freeze ever since I've been on the board, and we haven't been getting many candidates. So I don't think that's going to change.
Fair, it's fair, and I agree with that statement. However, any candidates that do present themselves in the near future would be diverted if there is a hiring freeze. Just putting that out.
I'm not saying that, in my opinion, I'm not saying that we shouldn't hire them. I'm saying come to the board, so the board knows what's going on. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable. You know, since we're involved in this, I don't think I've said, me personally, you know, I'm only one person. I haven't said, no, you can't ever hire anybody. I'm just saying that, you know, I think we got to be frugal with the funds that we have right now. And that's why we're looking at this. You know, and even if we hire 20 people, can we guarantee we're going to get them to come to calls? So if we hire 20 people and we suit them all up and they're not coming to calls, how is it helping us? That's the big concern.
Yeah, and that's a valid concern, and that's the way the department's also been running, you know, since its existence, right, is volunteers. And the fact with volunteers is when they are available, and with many people working outside the village, that's always going to be a risk and a concern, but the more members you have, the more likely you're going to be able to staff an engine when it's required.
And that's why we're specifically looking at this, because to hire, train, continuously train, suit up, one personnel, and then you do that so many times, and like you said, the more we can have, the better chance we have to get them to come. Where's that break-even point? Or are we better off spending the money somewhere else? Like a full-time. I'm not saying that that's what we're doing, but, you know, if we spend X amount of dollars here, would we be better off going with a full-time person? And that's what I'm saying we should be looking at. We should take a step back and we should look at it. I'm not saying dissolve anything. I'm not saying defund anything. I'm just saying we need to look at this.
Yeah, correct. Forgive me, because when I read the meeting notes, it said a freeze on it, right? So that's kind of what my statement against that freeze is. If the board needs to be made aware, then we can make, you know, adjustments to make you aware of those hirings. But by implementing a freeze, that basically tells me that it's a halt, like we're not doing anything. So I guess maybe it's a terminology, semantics that we could refresh. If there's other additional guidance you would like to see, I can't speak for the chief, but from my point of view, it's something we can introduce. But again, as somebody who's done recruiting for 14 plus years, anytime you introduce language that's very strong, permanent, preventative, you know, candidates do tend to go elsewhere. And so I just caution against that by recommendation. Obviously, I don't have any authority to make said decisions, but would just like to offer that verbiage change.
Thank you. Any board members, committee members first? Rob?
So I think, as far as EMS is concerned, we're well covered that from town. And see if somebody wants to volunteer, which nobody has lately for years, but I think we should accept that. We welcome that. And I'm more concerned about the fire department. We do have a temporary agreement right now, basically, let's be honest about it. On paper, Doug, we have volunteers, but they're not really capable, as you pointed out. And so there is no fire department at this point, basically, except for you. And you have other duties. So what we're trying to do is here kind of hold off expenses and not spend anything, because we're in the process of reinventing this with your help. And I'm looking at the budget here. So actually for the 2026, the fire department budget is $81,000, of which quite a bit of that is officers' pay. Obviously, you get paid still. Electric bills, gas bills, all that gets paid. Obviously, we don't turn the electricity off. But there's, for example, fire department repairs and maintenance, $16,000. The fire department supplies, $6,500. Some of those things, I think we should take a second look at it and say, is it something that we really need, or do we need it? Until we know where we're going with this.
We did this at the budget. All the engines, all the pump testing, air pack testing, air compressor testing to fill the air packs, and the jaws of life and all that stuff has to get serviced every year. So that's where the maintenance and everything comes through. Supplies comes through, we have e-dispatch, we have two things from the county, correct?
Yeah,
Pro Phoenix, and that comes out of the supplies budget.
Yeah, so some of this is not gonna.
It's not gonna change.
No, exactly.
So.
So maybe we should reward it or something, and if they're gonna spend a certain amount, over a certain amount, we approve it first or something. Or we take a look at that in case something big comes up.
Well, I think we always need to have, and I would hope that we'll have to some level of volunteer fire department. I think there's a lot of pride in that. I know you guys have a lot of pride with what you do. I think we need you as support for sure. You know, not just support, but coming out to begin with. But no matter what we do, I mean, we've had studies done in the past, and, you know, no matter what we do with a fire department, whether we combine or change or stay independent, whatever, we still need you guys in some fashion. That's my opinion. I guess, if we have a new person that comes on, are there, Dave, I don't know if you can answer this, are there expenses to the village when somebody new comes on, or is everything taken care of out of the 2%?
$80 for the written test for firefighter one is normally paid by the village. And then of course is hourly paid for calls and trains and meetings and stuff, but other than that, all the gear and everything is out of 2%. So.
Anybody else have anything to weigh in?
I'm sorry, I'm just kind of, like, I don't want to say anything because I was kind of waiting to see where it went. I'm Sean, I'm the assistant chief. What I'm going to compare this to is, so when EMS happened, we didn't do a hiring freeze, we didn't do any of that, and EMS continues to help, we did, Fontana. So Fontana came, they had a call, if there's people available, they'd go. So there was still some help there. The way I see it is the same thing with fire. Even if we can't always answer the call, you know, what we've discussed, we do have people who can make it. And when you're gonna have that, it's harder, I hate to say this, but when you get the activated alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning to the house that's always had it, and it's an alarm that we know there's nothing there, no one goes to that. I won't say no one, but it's a skeleton crew. Then you get, when we had like the structure fire, we did have, did we get both engines there? Yep. Both structure fires. And so it's tough to get these people to show up all the time. And I'm one of them. I mean, I live in the city of Delavan, it's hard for me to make activated alarms over here. But I try to come out and help. And I look at Elkhorn, which got rid of their volunteers. And they're trying to run calls, and then they have a fire, and they'll show up on an engine with 2 people. That's not even legal. But that's what they have, so they have to call mutual aid. I see us needing the assistance of other jurisdictions, whoever it may be, where I still think we can help out. And to do the hiring freeze or to try and stop the growth, like I don't say growth, but to really dampen down the volunteers here would not be good. I mean, I feel we do need to help from the jurisdictions, but I think anything to like drop our personnel down would be very bad.
Anybody else want to weigh in on anything? I think
I can just real, is on the EMS side, I will say that, for, the vast majority of the medical calls, Fontana is able to cover 100% of them without a problem. But when we do have the more critical calls, like a vehicle accident, a cardiac arrest, any type of serious call that needs medical attention, we do request the fire department, and it is the fire department typically that comes out and responds with us and provides that additional manpower. So they do continue to support the EMS very heavily. Like I said, the strict EMS calls, the response for medical calls and medical assists and transports, we're able to handle independently, but we do rely very heavily when we have a cardiac arrest or a major incident. The fire department is the one that we rely on a lot to respond with us on those types of calls.
Chief Mantee, when Williams Bay EMS supports Fontana EMS pays for that, is that correct?
So for the EMS side?
Yes.
So any of our part-time and full-time personnel are funded jointly between Williams Bay and Fontana. The only time that it would come into place where a Fontana person comes in, we separate, is if a paid on call is separated.
But if a Williams Bay person responds to a call to support you.
Yes.
Who pays that person?
Williams Bay does.
Okay, that wasn't my understanding. Okay.
So if Williams Bay Fire Department's responding with us to assist us on a cardiac arrest, My understanding is that that comes from Wayne's base.
No, I'm just focused on EMS, because we have an agreement with you for which we pay a lot of money to cover our EMS services. And occasionally, a Williams Bay person supports you on a critical call. Not a fire department person, an EMS person.
That's very, very rare that that would happen. I can't think of any cases where it was just an EMS person that came out. Typically, if we're requesting help, it's for the fire department to come out and assist us.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is I can't see us paying twice for the same service, two organizations for the same service.
So kind of enter that, when the fire department comes out, they're not credentialed with Fontana. So it's kind of hard, they're not on their books or anything. It's basically because the accident or whatever they need the help with is in Williams Bay, they call the fire department for help. If it's a cross-credential person, I think those may be, that one I don't know, I'd have to ask. I know we have been, I have been paid by Fontana for calls, but if it's a fire, if fire comes out, like Doug, if he goes to help, he's not set up at all.
Exactly, and I'm trying to draw a distinction between EMS and fire, because we got a separate agreement for EMS that's supposedly a comprehensive, covers everything agreement. And fire, we're not there at this point in time.
Yeah, it's fire, but it's really personnel. I mean, it's, hey, I need hands. Who can I call? Because the police are usually already there. I need more people. So the fire department would be the next group of people to pull from.
I will say Fontana does the same thing. So we have a separate budget just for fire that Williams Bay does not contribute to.
Right.
So when we have those calls in Fontana, we request our paid on call personnel to come in the same, and that is funded strictly by Fontana outside, independent of Williams Bay, for those the same way that Williams Bay Fire Department responds to Williams Bay.
Okay, thank you. I'm confused.
So, I mean, I think, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, just listening to what you said, what they've said, I feel like freeze is a pretty strong word. And it seems like what we're asking for is notification and authorization more so than a freeze, because a freeze is a stop. We want to be notified and we want to have a say in whether or not that should happen based on other things that we might be investigating. So, so that's just my thought, is that I would rather have us remove the word freeze and just move it to notification and authorization.
And that's a good point, and that's what I heard from our fire department also. I was gonna make a recommendation, since, you know, we could talk about this for a while, but we definitely need the fire department's input on this and everything. I think we're gonna be talking about how to try to get you more support, talking about working with neighboring towns a little bit better. We're gonna have that coming up. Maybe that's, and we're gonna include the fire department with that. Maybe that's the time when we can talk more about this and stuff like that.
I would agree, because I think also with what we're trying to do right now with the attorney, you guys aren't the PFC, but I think it's gonna turn similar, where any officer has to come before you guys. If there's a recommendation for an officer, it's gotta come before you guys. So any new hires would have to come before you guys anyway. I think that's kind of in the pipeline anyway.
Yeah. So is there any disagreement that maybe we just wait and try to have a bigger discussion involving all of this? You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, so we'll do that. Yes, Doug?
So can I hire the new guy to put his application in this morning?
I think it would, personally, I think it would be a good idea. I would just ask, can you just let us know, like, if you got new people coming in the meantime, just so the board is aware of it. I think it'd be good for us to know how, hopefully, I'll say, well you're doing, you know, versus wondering. I would like to see us if we could improve the communication, but hire them. I think that's the way it's set up right now, so I would say hire them. So, perfect. All right. So we're done with that one. Thank you. Took a little bit longer than I thought, but. All right, yeah, we'll wrap that up into other discussions and stuff. Next I have on the agenda, Fontana EMS, monthly numbers. Sorry for making you wait so long there, Chief.
So yeah, monthly reports went out for January. Call volume was down just slightly from 2025. But you know, for January, it's really hit or miss for that time of year as far as you know where the calls come in. For Williams Bay, it was down a matter of a few calls in January. Response times, we did have a lot of calls that were after hours, which is something that obviously the village is moving towards to work on that 24-hour response time. So the response times were a little over 8 minutes. 8 minutes is our goal. But because of the number of calls that we had overnight, that definitely was one of the reasons for a little bit longer for the response times. The other thing we do have is we did get our 5th person in place. So we are staffing 5 overnights now. So before we were staffing 5 to 6 during the daytime and 4 at night. We are staffing 5 personnel 24 hours a day, effective last month. I'm sorry, yeah, last month. It is March. Any other questions on the reports?
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we have the Williams Bay Police Department monthly numbers. Chief Quinn.
I'll see a new report.
All right. Sorry.
Yep. Guys can review those, see if you have any questions about those at all. You'll see the parking obviously being a big one that we've been talking about. You've seen the increase in the parking that we've been taking care of, or attempting every effort to take care of, right? That was up, I think, to 66 calls, if my numbers are correct. So what we're doing now is and the majority of those are taking place right down in the area of Walworth Avenue. So we are trying to effectively enforce, but with the realization that coming the summer months, we're going to have an uptick in other calls that are going to take our officers away. So we have to be cognizant of that as well. 63, 63, up from about 14 in January. Any questions on that?
Chief, you had 63 parking complaint activities, but I see no citations issued.
The citations sometimes just go into the notes. I don't have the exact number of citations for the parking. Sometimes those are just drive-bys. They're enforcing it in that area. They're ensuring that people aren't parking illegally. So we don't have a separate call for parking checks. So they have to go into parking complaints, since this is a large area for us that we get complaints. We have to log it as such. So there are citations associated with that. That exact number I don't have in front of me, but there are a number of citations. Some verbal counseling, as well as going on.
I'll just add to that, I do know one day Officer Ruby was called, won't say who called him, right? I have to know, because, and he wrote 5 tickets.
Okay. I'm just curious because there's a report that purports to list citations and it's 0. So there's an answer.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you on that one.
And then we got your year in review.
Yep. So we'll go into our year in review. You know, we've all been here a long time, so I'll try to make this as brief as possible. So 2025, our year in review. I don't want to step in front of anybody. Just going over this, and then I also have a packet for everyone at the end. At a glance, we'll talk about the calls for service, our crime data and any statistics there, staffing statuses, major accomplishments, and any key challenges that we've seen, and what we're anticipating for 2026. Here's a call comparison between 2024 and 2025. 2025 is in the orange. 2024 is in the blue. It's about a 4% increase between calls for service in for 2025 to 2024. Business checks were up, house checks were up just slightly, as well as our incident reports, and then arrested adults were down slightly. And then we compare it to the 5-year average. So the 5-year average is in the orange, in the blue is 2025. Again, slightly higher on CFS calls for service, as well as business checks, house checks, and incident reports. Arrested adult, pretty much even. Here's some crime trends that we've been seeing. So theft is on the bottom left. Operating a vehicle while intoxicated is the second. Drugs, and then domestic or family offenses are on the absolute right. The green on the top, you'll see that's the 5-year average. The blue in the middle is 2024, and then the orange is 2025. So slightly lower, which is a good thing, that it's slightly lower on those, but we're seeing slight trends increase in those as well. Some staffing updates. Officer retention is still strong. We're maintaining a good staffing level. Officer Carlton is still, she's in phase 2 now. She completed phase 1. She got a 94% on her phase 1 exam, which I was excited about. Lieutenant Hammett being promoted, that was a big key for us. He's fitting in well with the team, doing a fantastic job. Protective Services just approved the hiring of Mr. Skirdo to go forward to finance and personnel, as well as the board. So hopefully that continues on that momentum. And then at that point, we will be fully staffed. Some major accomplishments. Our community programs is continuing strong. In-house training and the first responder of the year. Truckapalooza on the left. What a fantastic event with the rec department, the school, the fire, everybody who is involved in that. It's just a great event that we get to participate in. On the right, you'll see at that time Officer Hammett, now Lieutenant Hammett. He started working with the rec department on what's called Hooked on Fishing, and it's really promoting getting outside and being a part of nature and enjoying everything that Williams Bay has to offer. And that's a key thing that I know Lieutenant Hammett is big on. So he was out there multiple times, just helping in any way possible, offering advice. And then our leading into some more community engagement. You see on the top right there, we have the officers. They were invited to a birthday party for a 6-year-old who big police fan. So we got to hang out with him for a while. Officer Rudy ate a lot of cake, so I don't know if he'll be invited back. But Officer Rudy as well participated in Lights for Christmas, and they also they do Cops at Culver's events. And any participating agency, which we were included, basically was awarded $1,300 in gift cards from this organization that received all these donations. The organization took in about $300,000, I believe, in donations. Our portion of that was roughly $1,300 in gift cards. So we were able to give them out to community members in need during the Christmas time. We still have some left over that we can filter in throughout the year. So we're really excited to participate in that. We had a total of 30 hours of in-house training per officer. That's monumental. And really that's a dedication from this board, as well as leadership within the village and the police department, because what that means is we didn't have to go outside to try to get training. So we didn't have to pay for instructors to come in. We have the instructors here, which is big. It's big in not only a budgetary aspect of saving some money there, but it's also big in team building and morale. There we, that's the EVOC course, the Emergency Vehicle Operations. That's at Gateway, and so all we had to do is pay for the course. We have 2 EVOC instructors who were able to perform it, so it saved quite a bit of money, and we were able to use the course for the entire day, which was a big deal. Bottom left, we participated in some searches, some search training with Walworth County Drug Unit, which was a lot of fun. It was really helpful. Some more in-house training. The top left, topography allowed us to utilize some of their buildings to do some movement and some building clearing. I know Trustee Black was there for one of them. We're utilizing a system called Unit Solutions rifles, and they're training rifles that are set up exactly like our rifles are for our squads. Helps us for any situations where they may be needed. Active shooter responses, room clearing, those types of scenarios. Those other 2 pictures are at the range at Walworth County, which we utilize their indoor range for any of our annual trainings that's needed. And then the Officer of the Year Award for this district. And then key challenges moving forward. Yeah, we talked about that already. So the recruitment and retention, that's going to be key for us. Retaining the personnel that we have right now. We built a very strong team, and we're very proud of it. And we're just going to maintain that and retain them. And then the rising calls for services, as we all know, we're getting more and more calls. Population is growing. Traffic's increasing, so that's stretching us thin. But with the referendum that passed, that's a big deal for us, so that we have the appropriate officers and the appropriate staffing. And then train staff to every call. Officer Rudy there, he took 40 hours of crisis intervention training, so he is certified as a crisis intervention, which is basically mental health calls. So he's going to continuing that education, and he's going to bring forth all that knowledge to our police department. We're trying to get all our officers through it. It's just dealing with de-escalation in mental health calls. So with that being said, one thing that Lieutenant Kossak had during his CPM course, which is Certified Public Manager course, was an annual report. And one thing we haven't done in the years prior is actually have a physical copy of an annual report. This report will be included on our website, as well as physical copies will be available here, but I wanted you guys to have the first draft. And if anybody has any questions about 2025 or 2026, we can talk about 27. I don't know what's going to happen, but we can discuss it.
No, I say it's a good thing. All the training is a good thing to me, because one big mistake that one officer can get all is in deep trouble. So that's great.
Yeah.
I think you got, on the right path.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
We're going to continue on that path.
I applaud the training. I saw in the social media presence you guys have now, I think is very good messaging. And I learned from there about Officer Rudy's evidence training that he had just done. I guess he went through. So
yep.
Field exercises with that. So we're glad that we were able to get you the new officer, the new lieutenant, and new space pretty soon too. And we're gonna just keep doing what we can to supply you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Anything else for the chief? Thank you,
I'd like to point something out to the public. It's what I mean with training. Can you stand over there for a second? No, this is because I tell people about this.
Watching
Watch the public for a second. No, the other way.
Oh, this one, there's,
Now watch where his gun is and where his taser is. Some police departments have them both on one side. You can mistake it for. There's no mistake where the gun is and where the taser is. You don't grab the wrong thing, am I right? You say it better, but,
yep, yeah, there's,
and so this is all simple stuff where a simple thing where you're not trained properly can make a big mistake, and you make a big mistake and create a lot of trouble. That's what I mean.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, next we have on the agenda is discussion of possible new police department fleet vehicles. I know, Chief, you've been doing all the research on that.
Yeah, and, I have to say I'm a little disappointed, so my goal was to have an answer. So currently, we have Tahoes. We moved away from the Ford Explorers. We have strictly Chevrolet Tahoes now, the Police Pursuit Editions, which is purchased through the state contract. The reasons behind it, there's a turning radius difference that's actually sharper than the Ford Explorers. There's a lot more space when we were responding to EMS calls first, and we didn't know the timeline of when they were getting there. So we had to have more medical supplies. We have now our cold weather gear, so we needed more space. The Tahoes also have a better resale value. So we knew that when we were able to, when they are done with their life in Williams Bay, and it goes to auction, we would be able to hopefully get a better resale on them. What we didn't know, and what we're finding out is the cost to repair them is quite large. I'd be lying to say if it was any different than the Ford Explorers at this point. Our goal when Lieutenant Kostock and myself went to the Chiefs Conference, they have vendors there. We get to network with multiple different agencies. We were then able to discuss with the multiple different agencies on what their vehicles are, why they chose them, and why they didn't go with a different vendor. We had the opportunity to talk to multiple departments who have great relationships with Chevy, and they don't have the issues that we have. And we've also heard that Fords are great and Dodges are fantastic. The Dodge Durango, the problem with the Dodge Durango that we've seen in the past is 2 years ago, they were going to stop making police vehicles, and they're still making police vehicles. So we don't know if they're ever going to stop or what that looks like. The Ford Explorers that we've been doing research on, they have suspension issues. So then we started thinking about the future and electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles. The trials that have been done with the hybrid vehicles have not been great. They've had a lot of electrical issues when they're driving. So we're very cautious on that. I've done some research on the multiple different EV vehicles, the electrical vehicles that have come out. One being Tesla, another one being the Chevy Blazer. And before December, they were still having a Ford F-150 Lightning. They're no longer making that one. So now it's just between the Tesla and the Blazer that I was comparing it to. A couple different departments who said the Chevrolet Blazer is great, but you're never going to fit a cage in the back, so it defeats the purpose of bringing it in as a patrol aspect. The multiple jurisdictions that are running a Tesla right now have had really good luck with them. They maintain their 120,000 mile warranty, which is huge because with our repairs and maintenance budget that we're constantly looking at. But they are more on the front end. They run a leasing program that we have. We've had it's a 5-year lease stretched out over 5 years, and then a I think it's a $1 buyout at the end, and that's fully outfitted. It's running roughly $100,000. And currently we're spending about 80 to get a Tahoe. So it's an additional 20,000. Again, 120,000 mile warranty on it. And currently the Tahoes are getting, will probably be at just under $100,000 before we have to auction it off because the maintenance of it's getting too big. So again, the goal was to get a concrete answer. At this point, I have more questions than answers that haven't been fulfilled. So I wish I could have something that has the golden ticket that this is going to solve it, but I just don't have it at this juncture. So I'm willing. I'm very open to any suggestions anybody might have. We've stayed consistent with the Chevrolet. We had some chip issues during COVID. There was issues with getting the appropriate chips, so we were actually pushed off a couple of years. So we're finally getting back to our rotation that we were hoping for, that we did have prior to the COVID pandemic. But we're still the quality of the vehicles being made right now for police, and I'm speaking from the policing side of it, is just not there. And we've talked to everybody that we know of. So we're gonna continue doing our research and see if we have something better for you to present. But I'm always open to hear more suggestions.
Chief, when are you due up for a new vehicle?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
This year?
This year, and we have one for next year, and for 2030.
Yep. So before we make any decisions, we really have to figure this out. I don't want to be cavalier with spending, and we're very cognizant, very aware of what our engines are able to do. Another suggestion actually came from Mr. Edwards was the break-in period of the engines. Since we're running them in this short of area, is there a way we can get some more miles on them longer distances before we break them in here in Williams Bay? Will that make a difference? And it's a good point. It's a very good point. I haven't seen the same, the emergency management vehicle that my take home, I haven't seen the same engine issues that we've had for our vehicles right now. We have an oil consumption issue is what's really killing us.
I'll put it on Florida back and forth.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
With the red lights on.
Just so you know, I know a couple people who have a Chevy pickup and they're running into the same issue with the oil consumption. It seems to be with certain engines.
My take and what I've heard is that there was an oil consumption issue. So what they did is they put a bigger oil pan in so the capacity could get larger. Well, we're going through about a case of oil every 2 months, and that's in between oil changes.
So will you be able eventually come to us with some information? Like, I'm just gonna use Tesla as an example.
Yep.
Give us Tesla costs, what the warranties are, all that stuff, what the equipped it versus maybe the Tahoe, and then what our costs have been related to that. And so we got some solid stuff to look at.
I would love to have that within the next couple of months. I'm working with the different manufacturers to try to get something concrete for you, and then we can have an open dialogue on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I love it.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
I look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
All right, thank you, trustee Black.
Trustee Knight, please. It's not a good part.
Thank you, President. I apologize for we're back, it is what it is, but we have an agenda that runs through letter N, but we'll get through it as quickly as we can. And many of them are housekeeping things, but let's start with a call to order for the Finance and Personnel Committee. Trustees Wright, Lumens, and Bartholomew are present. Our first item is, matter of fact, the first several items are to essentially do some housekeeping forwarding of items that came to us. First item comes to from Streets and Highways as regarding resolution R 2426, extending the agreement with Vanderwall and Associates until the end of the year. I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll forward that to the board for consideration. Next item is, again, an item that came, in this case, comes to us from Parks and Lakefront Committee regarding a lease, renewal of the lease with Crescent Moon Massage Therapy for yoga on the beach for the year 2026. There's no resolution attached to this, but I would entertain a motion recommending board approval of the lease for 2026.
You make the motion?
No, I recommend, I
Okay.
request.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any- All those in favor say aye. Aye. It's forwarded to the board. And again, that can probably go on the consent agenda. Next item, again, comes to us, in this case, from Sewer and Water, regarding the lease, regarding the lease of some property by TDS Metrocom from one of our village well locations. Again, this is resolution R 2326. I would entertain a motion recommending board approval of resolution R 2326.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I'll forward that to the board for consideration. Next item is, comes to us from Protective Services regarding a conditional offer for a police officer candidate. And I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of the conditional offer to the police officer candidate.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Then we come to an item that comes to us from Sewer and Water. It's regarding the final change, what we believe to be the final change order on the water treatment plant. Again, we have a resolution number on that?
No.
No, we don't, okay. Again, we're recommending board approval of the payment of the change order, $24,897. That will be, the Sewer and Water Committee will decide whether to pay that out of reserves or out of borrowed funds. Or do you have you said borrowed funds in a meeting, but my note here says reserves.
Yeah, that will be borrowed funds.
Okay. Okay, I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of the final change order number 3 for the water treatment plant of $24,897 to be paid for out of borrowed funds.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We run into several items that are CIP related items. They're coming to us from Public Works, and we got kind of a process and timing question. Public Works Director Edwards has come to us with a request for a lawnmower, UTV, and a plow truck, all of which are included in the CIP, which isn't funded yet. So we can do several things. We can go ahead and approve these, recommend it, and pay for them out of reserves and repay that when we do borrow the money. Or we can defer action on these until we have borrowed the money and money's in the bank. I'd appreciate some discussion of that.
How needed is the mower?
Yeah, that's the question.
Just the main hope was to have it for this season. Old mower's still going strong, utility vehicle's still going. I don't know what the lead time is on those pieces of equipment.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. If you get it in December, it's not,
Well, that's just it. If you get them in the fall, then you park them in the shed.
Do we pay for them on order or do we pay for them on delivery?
On delivery.
Okay.
so,
The plow truck equipment, that won't be till fall for sure, besides the down payment that we have to do with the order.
yeah, right, I got that.
So your conclusion? We need to, the finance committee needs to make a recommendation to the board. The board needs to get a proposal from Baird, and we need to authorize Baird to borrow the money for us. So it's probably a couple months away.
I thought we borrowed that, we already agreed to that.
No. We agreed to a hypothetical plan,
How to the plan, okay.
but we didn't authorize borrowing a specific amount of money.
I'll make a motion that we should approve the public works department purchase of replacement lawnmower.
Okay,
Okay,
you want a second?
we have no reserves.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll second that, but then we have enough reserves or something? Where's it coming from, if we don't have it? He might get the lawnmower at 2 months, a month and a half, and 6 weeks.
We could put an expected delivery date with the order to say we would expect delivery no sooner than June 1st.
Yeah, it's not just the lawnmower, you got a couple of things on here, and also the down payment on the plow thing.
Right.
So I'd rather have that than.
Well, the plow, I'd really like to get the order in for that. The longer we wait on the plow equipment, the farther out.
Exactly, plus I wanna lock that in.
Yeah.
Right.
How much down payment do you need to make on the plow truck?
$40,000.
How many?
40,000.
40? Okay. Well, we got a motion and a second to approve the lawnmower, purchase order, recommend board approval thereof. Recognizing that the 27,638 is gonna, if it comes before the borrowing is done, is gonna get paid out of reserves.
Okay, but I have a question.
Okay, please, sir.
We also, the bank building, that's borrowed funds,
Correct.
and that money we don't have, we can.
That's correct.
Reserves also.
That's correct.
Okay, so how many reserves do we have to pay for all of it? It's starting to add up to a big amount here.
I don't remember Dave, do you remember the amount offhand?
It's close to $2 million, so.
The general fund?
Yeah.
Or you can borrow it from the water fund, but I'll charge you 10%.
Good luck.
I know we got the 6 points.
I guess I made the motion because I wanted to ask something too. So on our capital improvement plan budget, it has a more at 32,000.
Correct.
And on here it says 30,000.
Yeah, some of
So
them.
I was just sort of curious how, if that's important to even mention that. I think that's.
It is.
Some is over the 4,000, and the other one is under the 4,000.
No, I'm just going with the numbers on here that we're just not transcribed correctly, I think. I think that should be 32,000. So, yeah, so that's even save us more money then.
Follow up on your suggestion, Wayne, can we set the mower up such that we don't have to pay for it before June? I think we can get the borrowing done by June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Okay, then, we've got a motion and a second to approve the, request from the Public Works Department to buy a lawnmower for $27,638.58. For delivery no sooner than June 1st. To be paid for out of borrowed funds. To be paid for out of borrowed funds.
So it's resolution 25.
It is resolution 2526. Any further discussion? All those in favor of recommending board approval of resolution R 2526, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carry that forward to the board. Then we run into the UTV. Again, this is included in the CIP for $30,000. The proposed purchase price is almost $35,000. But again, it's a timing issue at this point in time in terms of whether we approve this now or defer it until a later point in time. Wayne, could you enlighten us as to the timing necessity of this purchase?
It would be nice to have for the summer again, with Sharon with the rec department.
again, if you put a date on it, June 1st or something like that. Again, I don't know what the availability is, the lead time. I didn't question that.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure some of this takes time, right?
All depends on what's in inventory.
Yeah.
I don't imagine they have too many $35,000 items just sitting around. Getting dust, but anyway.
I'm surprised, yeah, $700,000 tractors.
Okay, I would make a motion to recommend board approval of resolution R 2626 with a delivery date no sooner than June 1st. Or payment date no sooner than June 1st.
Resolution 28,
2626.
This is 28, 26. It should be 26.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, the resolution itself is 26. So I made the motion to get a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, we'll forward that to the board for consideration. Then we get to the big bucks. The CIP includes $300,000 for a plow truck. Wayne has a proposal for $288,000 and some change, part of which I'm sorry, I guess the variance is $11,830 over the amount that was in the CIP.
No, there's 300 in that.
Right. I'm sorry, we're $11,000 under the CIP amount, but the CIP isn't funded, so. Can we approve the down payment? Does that get you moving forward in a timely enough manner? Okay. I would make a motion that we recommend board approval of a down payment of $40,000 on the replacement plow truck, be paid for out of borrowed funds.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I'll forward that to the board for consideration.
Sorry, real quick, was that one?
As far as 27, 26.
27, 26. So,
Yeah, was there a timing issue with that? I'm just trying to-
no, we need to pay the down payment now.
The down payment on reserves right now,
No academic price.
and then whenever delivery comes,
It'll be a while.
We'll get it.
I gotta reword the motion when I get, so I wanna make sure I have. it.
We'll get it when CIP is funded, then Wayne will propose a motion or somebody will propose a resolution to pay the balance.
Something, thank you.
Okay, then we come to, this didn't come to us from committee, but it's a quote from a fire, an alarm service for an upgrade to the monitoring equipment here in the village hall for the police department's offices. Chief, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to give you some background, we were made aware of this when we did a routine check on our, they're called hold-up alarms. And we noticed that they weren't actually going to county, which is an issue for us. It was doing what it needed to locally here, but nothing was getting up to county. So we contacted the owner of the company who is selling his company to Permar Security Solutions. They came in and tested the fire alarms, which again, locally, it's doing what it needs to. The lights flash, the buzzers go off, but nothing is going up to county. So they need to meet code, we needed to have basically a relay up to Walworth County Dispatch so that they're aware of it as well and the appropriate people can get there. So that was the contract that they, or the quote that they submitted to us.
All right, so for the installation, it's $3,500.
Right.
And then there's a monthly fee of $117.
That's correct.
The monthly fee is a budget expense.
Yeah.
Not a capital expense. So I'd entertain a motion to recommend board approval of the quote for $3,516.98 to upgrade the security system for the police department.
I'll make that vote.
Any further discussion? And this will be paid for out of our funds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Forward that to the board for consideration. Then we come to I don't know, we last on the agenda, we're less with the thorny issues. When we considered the purchase of the old bank building, we considered the purchase price plus about $50,000 for upgrades to the facility. We spent $398,000 and some change on purchasing the building, leaving us about $52,000 for upgrades to the building. The quotes that we've obtained to upgrade the building come to $72,461.
So it's $20,000.
$22,000 short. My recommendation would be that we increase the budget that we had budgeted $50,000. We increase that to $75,000, which would cover the $72,000 expense. And we're going to have to either adjust the CIP to take it out of something else, or we're going to have to borrow more money than the CIP anticipated.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
So what we just approved, and then this for the police department, it also says police department IT for about the same amount, $4,000 estimate. Is that something different?
Yes, that is something different. That's our security cameras, which are not part of the security and fire system. So that's our security cameras as well as our entrance to get in. So the PERMAR that was just approved is basically to monitor those flashing lights and make sure that those flashing lights, when those go off, are county dispatch, and they're monitoring it as well.
Okay.
This new one is for when you walk through those doors and there's a little keypad, those need to be installed, plus all of the IT needs to also be ran over to Village Hall side so that we're all on the same system and there's no break in that system.
I don't mean to laugh, but.
No,
It's not funny.
I'm thinking this will be basically the police department, and now we're installing all this stuff. But when it was when it is now, we don't have any of it around.
Right, we have CJIS, so the Criminal Justice Information System that we have to do, we get audited every year, and so we need to maintain that system. And because there's public access here, there needs to be an entrance there for us that needs to have a lock, that needs to have a dual factor lock. There's a public entrance over there that needs to have dual entrance, and that as well outside. So that all adds up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm not. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I guess I would entertain a motion to recommend board approval of the building cost estimates of $72,461.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Any further discussion? And again, this would be
$22,000.
the $22,000 either have to come from another CIP project we're not going to do, or we're going to do on a reduced basis, or we're going to have to increase the amount borrowed. But we're going to have a finance committee meeting sometime in the next week or two, I decide that. But for minutes perspective, we've approved the $72,000. We'd be approving a variance of $22,461 out of our own funds. All those in favor of recommending board approval of this, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carry that forward to the board. Okay. Went from one difficult item to the next, one complicated item to the next. As our village engineer discussed earlier, there's potential development going on the old school site. Rob, the Water and Sewer Committee and the village engineer have done some preliminary thought anyhow about what kind of infrastructure infrastructure improvements we require in terms of sewer, water, and streets. What this is, and just for discussion, we're not establishing TID number 2, but I thought it would be appropriate to have some discussion of the appropriateness of moving forward with establishing a TID 2 to pay for that infrastructure development, assuming we can get the developer to front the money. So it's a discussion item.
It's a discussion item.
Yes.
Okay, so you want me to start the discussion?
Please.
Okay, so with the, I was thinking about that. With the preserve, we decided to go forward with the tax increment district.
Correct.
Before we really knew exactly how all of this was gonna play out. Okay, we figured somebody's gonna buy it and then we figured out.
Well, but we didn't finalize who's gonna pay what when until the very end.
Later. So at this point, we're not signing off on this yet, but we have an opportunity to lock in the value, which is 375 at this point, and something is gonna happen to it. However, it still needs to go through the planning commission, all of that.
Right.
And most likely, there's a little spreadsheet that it's a hypothetical, but we could get $2.8 million.
Correct.
This money over, whatever,
20 years. Which in theory will fund the infrastructure improvements.
So all the infrastructure improvement around the school, the Hickory, the Congress, Island, and Cowie, all of that needs to be replaced.
Right.
All of it is undersized, and all of it is old. So it's not gonna hold up, it all needs to be replaced.
And my feeling is if we can get the developer to front the money for this and on a pay-go basis, then we ought to take his money.
Well, they're different, I think Doug is having, we're not discussing how we're gonna pay for this, but there are different, thoughts on financing this. So either way, no matter how it comes out, we're gonna have to pay something for that.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, because it's a lot of money, you don't get any developer to pay for all of it. Not on all the public streets.
The preserve is. Preserve is paying for all the public improvements.
Yeah, I don't think we will do that in this one.
Well.
But either way, all of this is also, this board, the future boards have to decide where the money is gonna go. So I'm not saying it all should go to water and sewer.
No, some of those
So the highest need will be in water and sewer.
Well, once you redo the sewer and water, you need to redo the street.
Yes, and the street. So there's a lot of need for a lot of money.
So what's your conclusion of that discussion?
My conclusion is we should, the remodel pool is up, it has to be completed by October 30th.
Right.
And that seems like far away. And thank goodness I don't think most of us don't have to go through the full cycle of learning here on the tax increment district. And so hopefully we'll all go a little quicker, but still, we should get the process started and at least say, we want to kind of lock that in and get the things going.
Dave, would a first step be, I see on the timeline, a consulting services agreement with Baird?
Yes.
Yeah. And we don't need a resolution to do that, doesn't cost us anything to do that.
Just looking for direction.
Okay.
And by the way, from there, on the preserve, it costs us $12,000, but that $12,000 we're getting back. That's a reimbursable cost.
Right.
Correct. So it doesn't cost us anything. That's correct.
So I'm just
Mary?
wondering, yeah, thank you. So I just been looking at the handbook for TIDs created by the Department of Revenue for the state of Wisconsin. And one thing they say is I'm just going to read this. One key basis for the use of TIF is the but-for requirement. As part of all creation resolutions, a municipality must confirm that the development would not happen but for the use of TIF. The municipality must believe that without TIF, the development would never happen. This requirement is important to ensure TIF assists development projects needing help, but that it is not a gift of tax dollars to private developers or property owners.
Right.
So to me, I'm just not sure that this passes that test.
Well, that's, and in part what would retain Baird to help us figure out.
That's what
They have to write that for us. After interviewing and talking to staff and the engineer and so on.
But they won't get started until we get things started. And then they'll advise us on all their project is.
Yeah.
And it is a critical step.
Yeah.
Without the but for, then it doesn't get approved. But I think we ought to give the staff direction to get Baird started a consulting services agreement. There's some consensus on that?
Yeah.
Rob, Mary? Okay. Okay, Rob, Dave, you can work with the Baird folks on that?
Yes.
And then, my all-time favorite thing when one has nothing else to do is figure out what the village's finances look across the next 5 years.
I didn't have an attachment.
No, there wasn't one, so I printed out, I thought it was gonna be
There's no
attached.
pressure, you don't.
Yeah, right.
Well, this has been on Dave's and my list of things to do for some time, and I finally did some work on it, reviewed it with Dave. Let me just walk you through it, because it leads us to several important decisions that the Finance Committee needs to make a recommendation on. It starts off, and I'll just walk you from the top down. It starts with what I call known revenue, which is property tax. Okay, so we had $1,807,000 in property tax revenue in this year's budget. I assumed a 1% increase in that across the 5 years. That's probably, unless there's some change in Act 10, that's probably generous.
Yeah.
Other traditional revenue, which is all the pier slips, the launch revenues, the rec programs, and all the other things that we collect money for. We budgeted for about $2.3 million this year. I assumed a 3% increase in that across the 5 years. I know Trustee Franson has worked on a 5% increase in some of the fees, so I think 3% is probably a reasonable expectation about what we could achieve on those. Room tax, the village gets to keep 30% of the room tax revenue. The preserve had projected at full operation $1 million a year in room tax, which is what I put in there for 2030. Our 30%, it'd be $300,000. And I ramped it up starting from the projected opening in 2028 across to 2030. TID number 1, the village is entitled to keep 10% of the TID revenues for administrative expenses, and I just picked a number.
Okay, good.
So those are the known revenues, which totally, you can see the totals there. Then I laid out some possible extraordinary revenues that largely would require well, for the most part, require referendums. EMS, the first one, it appears that we will exhaust our current, and when we did the EMS referendum, we budgeted $950,000 and some change per year. It appears that we will exhaust that in 2028, which is better than I thought we would do. It looks like we will get nearly the 5 years out of that. So what I put in as a placeholder in the plan was a referendum, well, we need to talk about time, but essentially another referendum to extend the EMS by $250,000 a year, which should give us another 5 years of referendum of EMS money. Regardless of what we do with the fire department, well, I shouldn't say regardless. If we leave things the way they are, then we don't need any more money. But if we're going to get through this year perhaps with the grace of our surrounding fire departments with no additional expense. But for planning purposes, I said that by 2028, we have to start paying for additional fire protection. And put $200,000 a year in there. Both of those would require a referendum. We don't need an EMS referendum until 2027, or until 28. So we don't need a fire department or an EMS referendum this year. We could put it off. Fire department referendum, we're gonna incur additional fire department expenses next year, which would require a referendum this year. The school board's doing a referendum this year. Do we want to do a referendum this year along at the same time the school board is? And we would tag EMS to that and collect an extra $250,000 that way? Or do we defer a village referendum to 2027 and incur the budget deficit from fire department operations? So that's a discussion question we need to decide and give a recommendation to the board. Fire building renovation, I have put a $1.5 million in there as a placeholder, assuming we're going to renovate the existing building. Obviously, if we're going to build a new building, we're talking about $5 to $7 million. But I didn't put any amount in our financial plan for that, figuring we would borrow that on some kind of bond issue. Because we're still going to start incurring room tax revenue, I included room tax, the other 70% as revenue. So it adds in terms of starting in 2028 and ramping up through 2030. So we have a possible total revenue. You see there at the bottom of the page. And the second page then has expenses. General operations start with 2026 with $4,101,000. I assume a 2% increase in GO expense for 2027 and 4% each of the following years. EMS increase, the $250,000 and the $200,000 fire department increment. Utilities, Rob's going to fund that out of utility bonds. I put in there a tourism revenue. Obviously, if we're going to incur the tourism expense through the tourism commission as revenue, we need to show the expense. So I showed the same expense there. And then one of my favorite pet projects I'd like to see us get back to is in the good old days, before I was on the board, we used to just attend board meetings as an interested citizen. The village had a sinking fund into which it contributed money every year to pay for capital expenses. We haven't been able to do that for years because of the levy limits. So I would like to see us get to a point of starting to at least discipline ourselves to contribute to our own revolving fund. That arrives at the bottom line there to the issue that the finance committee is going to have to give a recommendation to the board on. If we do incur $200,000 of incremental fire department expense starting in 2027 and don't do a referendum until 2027, we have a deficit budget of over $182,000 in 2027. Which, yeah, you could do, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of deficit. So we're going to need to come up with some kind of recommendation. Basically, the recommendation will revolve around referendum timing. When do we ask for more money? Because obviously we need more money. Our levy limits don't allow us to do these things. Or we need to find some other way to save $182,000, and out of a $3 million budget, I'm not sure where to find $182,000. But anyway, that's what we've got put together. I would like to schedule a finance committee meeting sometime in the next few weeks to discuss this, because I think we need to get a referendum or a recommendation to the board, just from a timing perspective. If we wanted to put a referendum on the ballot for the general election in October, our drop dead date to have everything done in order to file the question is August 24th. If we wanted to do something for the primary, which is the next election we could make, the deadline is June the 2nd, which we're probably not going to make. There is a sense of urgency attached to this. But anyway, other comments from other board members? And not you all falling asleep, but
One, if the referendum goes for this year, I don't know why we do it on the primary, it should be on the general.
it'd have to be in the general at this
Yeah,
point.
okay. Two, I would like to see what happens in this general election, because there's a chance that these levy limits might be changing if we hold off and wait until next spring. Those are my requests.
Okay.
And also, thanks for putting this together.
You're welcome. Any other comments? Any other input? Okay, please.
So your point is well taken. We're gonna, on EMS, we're gonna run out before it gets interesting here money-wise, which is not until 2028, 29.
Right.
But basically, if you look at it, and, then we're gonna have the 30% going in, that is a lot of money.
Correct.
Okay, so that's one.
In 2028.
And then it gets even more interesting in 2030, when we drop $152,000 in long-term debt, and another $160,000 in 2032. So that's $300 and something thousand.
Yeah, but
Long-term debt reduction.
But those would just come out of the debt service levy.
Yeah, but
That's
the point is,
really
if we
what
want to
doesn't
keep the
affect our
taxes on the same level.
Well, if we gave up on that. We gave up on maintaining a debt service level.
Well, we are trying for our.
Well,
So, but you gave up on it because we're running out of money before, on the EMS.
no, at our last
Before the money starts coming in.
At our last committee meeting, we considered several proposals that Baird showed us. And the one, if we wanted to keep the debt service levy level, we wouldn't make any principal payments on our new loans for like 8 years.
Yes, I know that. Right.
So that was
So we
very,
have to have a discussion.
yeah, okay. Anyway, yes, those debt services will get paid off and the debt service levy will be affected by those, but it doesn't affect our operating budgets. Taxpayers will be happy. I, as a taxpayer, will be happy to see those go away.
Well, okay, we'll schedule the meeting.
Okay. Yes, it is.
Right.
Any other input? Okay, then I entertain a motion to adjourn. So, those in favor say aye. Aye. Or adjourn.
All right, thank you, trustee Wright. Now we'll move to the village board committee of the whole section. We have a couple of issues, a couple of motions that came out of committees and won't require seconds, so I'll read through them. The first is a motion to approve the draft ordinance amending Article 3 short-term rentals and 390-0310M towards living houses. So we already have the motion. Any discussion on this motion? This came from BZO. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. Next, we have from Protective Services and from Finance and Personnel, a recommendation to approve the hiring conditional offer to police officer candidate Skirto. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The motion carries. Next, we have resolution R 23-26, approving an exclusive easement by the Village of Williams Bay Land Lease and TDS Metrocom. Any discussion on the motion? We have a motion to approve resolution R 23-26 committee. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. Next, from Finance and Personnel, we had motion recommending approval of resolution R 25-26, the purchase for replacement lawnmower with payment starting no sooner than June 1st of this year. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. Next, also from Finance and Personnel, at the request of Public Works, we have recommendation to approve, motion recommending approval of resolution R 26-26,
for the purchase of a replacement utility vehicle with a payment not due until, not sooner than June 1st of this year. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
I see a snowplow on the other utility.
That motion carries. That's the next one on here, Rob.
Oh, next one.
Yeah, you had 3 items out of Public Works and Finance, yeah. So now we have Resolution R 27-26. And this was recommended for approval by the, a motion recommending approval of this from the Finance and Personnel Committee. This is authorizing Public Works Department to purchase the snowplow truck equipment, knowing that there will be a $40,000 deposit due immediately from reserves. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And that motion carries. And then we finally are at a motion to adjourn. I would entertain.
So move.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Was that Milo I heard? Did you hear the cat?
You're Milo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was.
Who else?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Good job.
Oh.
Yeah.